Yeah, how did we go?
I'm just like you, man. Tired. But Knoxville deal got brought to me. I think I have a buyer for that. They're coming to walk the property on Monday. Uh, I spent all day yesterday. So I had a foreclosure property in Memphis, and the lady needed. It was like an affidavit of heirship had to be signed by her brothers because her parents passed away. Even though
Mm.
she's the sole one on the deed, for them to do their title work, they needed a signature from the brothers. The brothers didn't want to sign, so I was working to get the brother's signature. Finally got it, and then the lady proceeds to just oopsie tell me that she's already under contract with somebody else.
Whoa.
And I think she didn't even say it like, oh, I didn't mean to tell you that. It's like I thought that was
Okay.
what was going on. But I told her early on, like we talked prices and everything, and she was all on board for that.
Yeah, man. Bro, I'd be lying if I said I hadn't dealt with that. Is this older lady, right?
She's like probably in her 50s.
Yeah, man. For some reason, they be acting like they ain't had no clue that they couldn't do that. I'm like, man, come on, dog. You knew you
And I
knew
even
you contract with somebody else.
yeah, and I even told her in the first conversation, like, hey, if it's in contract, I can't touch it. I can't do anything for you. I think she just wanted some help, and the only way that she could get it is by, playing the game a little bit.
That's probably what it was too, bro.
Yeah, it's all part of the game, man. Chalk it up and move on to the next.
Yeah. Just keep it, just keep cranking them out. But yeah, so since we last talked, and my bad about last week too, my mom came over
Yeah,
and
you
I
good,
hadn't,
man.
that was the first time she had came over to the crib and I hadn't talked to her in a while. So, but since we last really like talked, so I don't know if I mentioned it in the group yet, but I got another deal locked up. And it's
Awesome.
another one of those ones where, man, I'm selling myself short, just trying to rock with a buyer that I've been rocking with. You know what I mean? Um, but that's why it's all about connections and
Yeah.
that old school. Before, I'm pretty sure if you like me, before you even got into this business or even knew what anything about business, you heard some old school dude say it's not what you know, it's who you know. And that's
Exactly.
one of those things that stick around. But it's both. It's what you know and who you know and how you use it and how you execute. But I got a deal locked up and I'm like, man, I could have got that. It happens all the time. I'm not gonna lie to you. And that's why I say I need a dispo manager. I've been like kind of putting that out there. Like I need a dispo. Man, you put it out there long enough, I got me somebody. Finally got me somebody. I got a deal locked up. I got me somebody that, come through, help me with my dispo and everything like that. Oh my God, we got it set up. And I didn't switch text message platforms. Now we're using Lead Sherpa. Now, Lead Sherpa is also what I use to skip trace. But I only use launch control just because I like launch control, but I done squatted up with somebody and now we texting 6,000 people per day.
Oh
So it's like,
wow, that's awesome, bro.
crank it up. It took them a while to get you got to get your marketing and everything approved. So we have been waiting like these past 2 weeks to get it approved. It just got approved today. So we just shot out the first batch of 6,000. And man, but yeah, we got that thing rolling, bro. Whatever deals you get in Tennessee, if you want a second look at them or whatever, or me to get it over to my buyers, because now I got the hedge funds. Like I really, really got to connect with the hedge funds. And that's why I say the deal I got locked up, I got it locked up for this much. And then after I had already got it locked up, we got the ball rolling with this buyer. I brought my guy in and I'm like, man, see what the hedge funds that say, bro, they said this much. You know what I
Man,
mean?
yeah,
So
yeah. Who you gonna go to first? Or you gonna throw it all to everybody at the same time, and whoever bites the biggest gets it?
nah, I mean, like I said, I already when I say I got a deal locked up, I got it locked up with the seller and a buyer. Like
Yeah,
it's already locked up, sent to the title company. So and me and you talked about this like the first time we met. It's like when you're interacting with the buyer, I keep my man. even if this has happened to me before too, like I get it locked up and then a bigger, greater opportunity comes along, but my word is more valuable than the money.
Absolutely. Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, but going forward, is like now that I got these more buyers kind of coming into the fold, bigger buyers that can give me more competitive offers. Wait, like bro, dang near at ARV, just depending on the neighborhood.
Yeah.
It just depending on the area that you in, really, you can get almost close to ARV, and they're willing to buy that with those hedge fund buyers. And so I'll do it like that. Like, let's blast it out. And again, you define that process of now I got a deal locked up. I believe it's a deal because I got a couple buyers who are interested in it so far, but let me get to all of my buyers. Let me give myself some time to tell the seller, hey, give me a couple days and then I'll confirm with the buyer. I got to weigh all my options instead of going, I don't want to be too hasty. So yeah, that's pretty much what
So with the hedge fund buyers, are they looking for more like already turnkey rentals? They're looking for flips. What's their buy box like?
That's a good question. So it depends on the hedge fund, because there are hedge funds they're building a portfolio. They're looking for things that they can rent out, or they're looking for things that they could put a couple of dollars into, $5,000-$10,000, and then turn around and, like I said, either rent it out or maybe list it back on the market or something like that. Then you got other hedge funds. They doing a little bit more high end, not high end flips. I don't mean like $1 million property. I just mean like they do more extensive rehabs. They'll do like up to $40,000 worth of work. They'll buy those properties that need to work because their whole entire operation is set on flipping and flipping only. They're not necessarily trying to put anything into the portfolio. So they're looking for flips that they can do at a large scale. So it depends on the hedge fund. And so that's why you reach out to them, get their buy box.
How'd you get mixed in with them? You just hit them up?
Who you know is who you know, man. And so I was trying for the longest to get a contact with the hedge funds, but I had paid to get into this mastermind. And then in the mastermind, that was a part of the mastermind, was they give you access, they give you the contact information to all these hedge funds. And then you just hit them up and they'll email you back. They'll let you know, like, straight up, hey, they'll let you know, they're like, this is our buy box. This is how you send it. And that's one thing too, you'll notice when you talk with them, because they're on such a larger scale, they're looking at way more deals. They have a certain way that you got to submit the property over to them. And so, but yeah, that's how I got a hold of them, was by, paying to get into that mastermind. And then also in that mastermind, we got these weekly meetings, and you just get more because it's like other people, like you have a conversation here, you listen in on somebody there, and they'll tell you, they'll be like, oh yeah, man, it's this and that, such and such and such. So I'm like, word. And they'll kind of give you, just drop gems and stuff like that all the time. Like,
where's this deal that you got?
Clarksville.
Yeah.
Clarksville is like my bread and butter, but I'm all over Tennessee. Oh, also another big thing too, again, that came with building rapport, relationships. I don't really know, because I've been telling people, like, man, I don't want to do any like flips. I don't want to take down any property and flip it right now with what's going on in the market. I really just want to wholesale until the market bottom, like until it's a noticeable shift, until it, because right now it's kind of backsliding, but it ain't been like noticeable. Like, it's not nobody's really claiming it yet. But I want to see the noticeable shifts, the dust settles, then I'll start getting off into some more flips or just doing flips in general. But I just been focused on wholesaling. But I contacted with a lender. So if you find a deal and the numbers work, man, I might just take it down myself. So consider me a cash buyer at this point. I already talked to them. They said, if the numbers work, like this deal that I wholesale now, like really low key, if I had my contact before, I could have took this one down and flipped it. The margins is crazy. The margins on it are crazy already. Well, it's not stupid, but it's there enough for me to make, instead of a $10,000 assignment, I could have made it flipped it and made 30, 40,000 or 50. You know what I mean? And so I'll definitely take a look at the deal. So if you come across something and it's nice, and you know, I'll flip that thing.
Where you like? Do you want to just stay in Clarksville or where at?
No, not just in Clarksville, Tennessee. If the numbers make sense, really, I would like to be in Middle Tennessee, just to be honest. However, if the numbers made sense and you sent me a deal in Georgia, I'd definitely be interested because I know fundamentally the process.
Yeah.
You know, I wasn't always like a wholesale dude. Like I actually started out trying to be I really want to like own multifamily. Like that's my goal. And I started off studying and having mentors who were flippers and flippers only before I even got into wholesaling. So I really understand fundamentally flipping, and I got connects in Tennessee and in Georgia, as far as like contractors, GCs, or just subcontractors and stuff like that. So, but really Middle Tennessee. If you can give me something like, because if you give me something here in Murfreesboro, all right, obviously cool. Nashville, Smyrna, Antioch, Laverne, but then all the way up to Clarksville and anything in between. If you can give me anything, even down in chat, you know, I take a look at it. But either way, but like I said, it got to make sense, and I would really analyze it because I really want to focus on just wholesaling for the time being. Honestly, I don't want to sell myself short, but I do. You feel me?
But yeah, it got to be like a home run deal for you to actually really get in and fix and flip it. Yeah. With it, bro. Like I don't want to touch a fix and flip for 2-3 years until I've built a wholesale engine and completely walk away from it and just watch it go. And I can just start cherry picking from the funnel that I've created with wholesaling. That's my.
And that's pretty much, and absolutely, man, because that's pretty much where I'm at. I mean, it's not like my business isn't fully autonomous right now, especially because my lead VA be so in and out. Like she just had a baby. Shout out to her, but you know, but I'm still working on getting it built. But at the same time, I'm at a place. I've done a couple years in this, and as far as finding a deal and like coming across deals, it's a lot easier now than it was then. And if I had to split up my focus, I wouldn't have done anything right. You know what I mean? So like I always tell people in the beginning, focus on one thing. It's just like football, bro. You got to hit the A gap, the B gap, or the C gap. You're not juking and spinning before you even pass the line of scrimmage. You got to get out there. When you get out to the open field, then you could do all that extra stuff. You know what I mean? Unless you like, you know, one of the GOATs, you know what I mean? Like, some of them, they before they even get past the line of scrimmage, they be doing crazy stuff. But you catch my drift, man. And so,
yeah, bro, I'm the same way, man. I want to do one thing and one thing only. Like I say that, but I gator landed for a deal today, but that's a complete hands off type thing, right? I just had to sign a little document, hit transfer, and it went through. But I literally just want to wholesale everything. Right. Every single thing. Like it could be a home run deal for me, but I'm not there yet. I'm not trying to build a portfolio. I don't care about my portfolio because I know that will come. Right.
Exactly.
I know everything in the future is gonna come. I just gotta build that base. So I'm only focused on building that base for me, man.
You're so right, bro. You're so right. And another thing, this is very true. And I know this from experience, but also just like, you know, talking to a lot of people, is your properties, that's its own business. So, you know what I mean? So when you start, and that's what a lot of people, especially the new dudes, when they get off into it, it's like, I call it the shiny, I forgot where I heard that from, but it's like the shiny object syndrome.
Everybody say that, yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like you can see everything, like it's so many different things to do, but you're not realizing even I don't even talk about it. Like I don't even talk about, because people try to talk about it to sound cool, to be real with you, especially the new dudes. When you go to the new meetings or you link up with a group of people who's like brand new, they be like, so what you when they brand new, bro, they not even, it's real estate and then something that has nothing to do with real estate. It's like, hey, so what you be in a RIA meeting, they're talking about Forex or they talking about stocks or something like that. I'm like, bro, you're not focused. I don't. And then you get to the next level and then it's like, they talking about real estate, but they talking about all the different things that they could do in real estate. They're like, oh yeah, well, what do you can flip, you could do syndication, you could do this and that and this and that. You could do all of this. I'm like, yeah, bro, you could. But the best of the best tend to focus on one thing.
Yeah. Bro, focus on one thing. Pick one thing. Become great at it. And like you said, you hit the hole and then it opens up. Then you already built that engine. Now you have choices. Now you can do everything. Or like those people who want to learn every little last thing before they'll ever take action. Bro, you saw my video. I watched videos for a week and just started dialing. I was like, you know what I'm saying? Hey, let me talk to somebody. And that's what it takes, bro. Like you got to have a vision and then a plan of how you're gonna get there right now. Like what you're gonna do right now. So that's why I said, bro, I'm literally wholesale, everything.
Hey man, I always say, it's like, bro, if something was happening, or if you was getting surgery, you wouldn't want your doctor to be like, yeah, I do this and I do that, and I cut grass and I do Forex and I do stocks. Like, nah, bro, you better be only a surgeon and you better be the most focused surgeon. He's like, yeah, I do a little bit of surgery sometimes every now and again. Like, no, bro, I need you to be super hyper focused on this because my life on the line. And we rely on professionals be professionals. But when you kind of making that transition into the business world, a lot of people don't see the importance of taking myself serious as a professional. There's a book called Going Pro, which I have not read it yet. So I'm gonna make that total disclaimer up front. But I believe that's the gist of the book. It's just about taking yourself serious. It's you gotta be, to do anything, to make something out of nothing, you gotta be fully committed in that direction. And so it's really hard, and we pretty much saying the same thing over and over again, but that's like one of the big things. There's a couple tips or advice that I give people when they first starting out that I can always see it going right one ear right out the other. Every time I say that, stick to one thing in the beginning, build it up, and then diversify after that. And then the second thing is you are the sum total of the 10 people you hang around. That's another piece of advice that people are like, oh yeah, okay. And then they just keep it pushing. I'm like, bro, I don't think you heard what I said. Because if you're serious about this, then you can't be like, man, I'm serious about this. And then you go hang with your homeboy and all he want to do is just play 2K all day. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? All I'm saying is if you around 9 broke people, you're going to be the 10th one. If you around 9 confused people who don't really have a direction, who don't necessarily know what they want to do or how they're going to get there, you going to just, and it's not about how strong you are as a person. It's a human thing.
Yeah, it is what it is. Like I'm perfect. I'm the perfect example of that. Like the boys I live with right now, like none of them are on the same path with real estate that I'm on. We have conversations about, oh, we want to do this, we want to do that, but nobody has the same exact tunnel vision.
Laser focus, yeah.
What I want to do. So when I get my own crib, I got you. You're the closest friend I got who's knees deep in real estate, and me and you have met one time in person and twice through a camera. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So or Ashley, like Ashley's always talking to me about what she got going on. So y'all are like the closest people to me that have real estate in y'all blood. You know what I'm saying? Right. I text people all the time, but I met a dude the other day, and he saw one of my YouTube videos, and he's just starting a YouTube channel who does wholesaling, and he's in Philly. And I could just tell from his energy. I was like, yeah, that's a person who I want to work with and I want to talk to. Right. Bro, I've heard that. My dad was telling me that 2 years ago. He was like, yo, you need to get some new friends, man. If you're the smartest one out your friends, you need to get some new friends. You know, if you're the smartest one, then it's time to.
What can you learn? What are you gonna learn? What are you gonna gain? And it doesn't make them a bad people.
No,
Because,
hell no. That's
you
my
know what I
boy.
mean? I don't want people to hear that and think because I've had people, you gonna go, I ain't gonna say you will go through it, but I went through it where it's like me having that mentality, because I was right exactly where you at. I used to hate living with like my roommates. It wasn't that they was bad people. It's just like, I'm on this and y'all all over the place.
Yeah.
And I really need to be focused and locked in, and y'all don't have that same type of energy. And it almost makes us kind of like go the opposite way. It almost make it look like I don't know. Maybe I'm just being subconscious at the time. Like, man, like I done had people like, man, he think he better than me or such and such. Like, no, I'm
That's not the
focused.
thing. That's not it at all.
I'm focused,
I know
bro.
what I want, and I know what I want to do. Right?
Yeah. People who don't know what they want to do, they don't know what they want. They tend to look at a person like yourself, and you know which direction you're going in. And before you've actually created that snowball effect, and it's got, because once it starts to get big, then everybody can obviously be like, well, I want to jump on his wave. Oh, I see what you're talking about now. Once it's become a thing. But when you just go outside and start digging a hole, you're like, what's going on? But after you done dug the hole, laid the foundation, then started to build up, then they can see, oh, he's creating a house. He's building a skyscraper. He's building something. But when you start and you just digging a hole and everybody around just sitting like, I don't know what I want to do, you're going to look like, but that's that all comes with it. But it's definitely important that, and you're doing the right thing, is because you gotta, it's like, especially in the beginning, that's going to be one of the first battles. Is like, I can spend my time chilling with my homie, or I can spend time with the new dude that I met and he on the same thing I'm on.
Yeah.
You know how, they kind of got this like saying, I ain't been on social media in a while, but I remember my day one. It's like a braggadocious mentality about sticking with the same group of people that you started with, when essentially life is about growth, and growth is change. Growth is evolution. That's what we're supposed to do. And I'm not saying you got to cut up, like you're supposed to just get rid of your friends, but if you determine that you want to do something, and your friends aren't in line with that. Matter of fact, bro, I'm so serious about that. If my family not in line with that, like I'll holler back at you. I'll holler at you.
Yep.
I can't, like, you can't be giving your life to people that aren't going to help you get to where you want to go, as if they can give you another life at the end of it.
Like you said, even your family, like it doesn't matter who it is. If they're even saying something that you could think would be negative, it's time to go. Like, I'll holler at you later. Like, I'm good just because my mom, my dad, and everybody who I have around me is like, yeah, you got this. Let me stay out your way. Like, I don't have one negative bird on my shoulder, because everybody's like, yo, do your thing. And they look like, I love them for that. But people who hear that, their parents or one of their friends is saying, oh, why are you doing that? Why are you doing this? On to the next. Like, who cares what they say? If you haven't made up in your mind what you want to do, who cares what anybody got to say, including your mama, your granny, your best friend? It don't matter who it is. It does not matter who it is, bro. If you haven't made up in your mind that you want to do something, just do it.
Just go after it. Just go after it, man. And this is speaking to somebody who that maybe think about, maybe doesn't naturally have that. You know what I mean? Doesn't naturally have that, like, I gotta go all in, or just invest 100% into what I say I'll do. I ain't never really had that problem, but that's just because I came from like a really like unstable childhood, like an unstable upbringing. So I was just like, man, I figured this out on my own. I ain't never had to rely on it, but I realized something. There are entire cultures that is so centered around me as an individual. I have to live for my parents, or for my friends, or for my family, or what someone else says about my life is so much more important that I would, they kill themselves. Like, I know in India, I talked to a few of my Indian friends who are like born and raised in India, and they would say like arranged marriages is still a thing in parts of India. And that gets to people, that pressure get to people, and they literally like would rather kill themselves than disappoint their parents, but they know that they don't want to be with this person. And that's real tough. But that's like, bro, I equate that, like, if you don't want to be with this person, or if I want to be a real estate investor, but my pops want me to join his family business, or my friends, they want me to sit around with them and play 2K all day just to appease them or just to make them feel better about themselves. Like, bro, no, later, enough. You know what I mean? I'm certainly not about to kill myself just because I'm upset that I'm disappointing you. And I'm just strong enough of an individual that I would say, bro, I understand this because it's so much greater than me. When I accomplish these goals, it's not just for Cordero. I'm not just trying to make money for me. I'm trying to do something that's going to benefit the group or more than just me, real talk.
Benefit your family, benefit the people around you. Because once you get to a heightened level, money don't matter no more. It's all about your impact. Once that money is coming in, who are you impacting? How are you impacting? Like, we just on this group, you are literally teaching younger, not even younger, but less educated people about their steps and what they should do. And you're having an impact on them just by sitting there in this little screen and having a conversation. As you get older, the more that you do, like, you're gonna impact way more people. And that's really what it becomes about when you reach that level of success. Like, it's all about helping people get to that level to be with you. Like, for me, as soon as I get there, I want to bring up everybody around me and anybody who's ever interested in anything that I've ever done. Like, come on, here's the step, let's go. Like, let me grab your hand and let's walk. That's just the way that I rock. Like, my YouTube channel, bro, I'm not trying to be a guru. I'm not trying to be a teacher. I'm not trying to build no course. I just want people to see and be like, dang, well, he's doing it, so why can't I? Like, this dude called me up today. Me and him had a call at 10. And he was like, hey, I stumbled across your YouTube, and watching your videos gave me the confidence to pick up the phone and call an agent. So now I got good relationships with like 3 agents, and I'm over there like, man, I'm feeling good. Like, that's literally what I set out to do. It's just inspire people. That's it.
And you'll see this, it's not after you get the money. This is something that I didn't know. This is something I'm learning now. It's not after you get the money or a certain amount of money that the impact matters. It was the fact that the impact mattered all along.
Yeah.
The impact was the most important thing the whole time. Real talk. Because when you think about it, money in this society is just a representation of the value that you provide to the society.
That's it.
Right? It's a representation of how you impact the society. When I look back at my list, I'm not looking, I couldn't tell you like, oh, I made this much money off that deal. I made this much money off that deal. I'm looking back and thinking, I remember that woman. I remember her situation. I remember what she was going through. I got some sellers, and it's kind of crazy, bro. I got some sellers that still call me to this day just to be like, hey, how are you? I'm just checking on you, such and such and such. You know what I mean? Because I made an impact on them. So you realize that the impact was the number one thing all along. And I see you seeing that because it's like, you got a channel. You ain't, I'm sure you got your own, between you and yourself, your own monetary benchmarks. Like, this is a milestone for me when I make the first 100,000, when I make the first meal, make 10 mil, or however you set it up. But you've already impacted people. You know what I mean? You've already done that. And so I completely agree with the impact and just focusing on it. And that just kind of give you, when you're thinking about that concept of the people around me can dictate who I'm going to become or where I'm going to go, then don't let it weigh you down, because that becomes easy when it's like some people, you can like, I can cut him off and add that person to the team. But for a lot of people, there's like a core group of people. They're like, well, I couldn't let her go. I couldn't let that person go. I couldn't let this person go. I can't let, but if you got to, you got to. And it's not like you just disappearing off the face of the earth.
Dropping them off, never talking to them again. You just distancing yourself until you get yourself right.
It's simple as that. It's like when you make your mind up that you're gonna get, I'm gonna get in shape for the summertime. It's like, you're not saying you'll never eat a cheeseburger again. It's like saying, like, bro, I just need to cut out until I get to where I'm at. And then when you get to where you're at, cheeseburger won't even have that much of effect on you anyway. Exactly. But you gotta really take it serious at a certain point. It's just certain levels in your career that you gotta take stuff serious. But because more than just thinking about who you're gonna cut out, is thinking this is, and I told you this, bro, I'm a vegetarian. And a lot of people, when they think of vegetarian, they just think of the stuff that they eat minus the meat. And they're like, how you make a meal out of that? It wasn't just what I took out of my diet. I had to add new things. Like I didn't just say no meat and I'm gonna eat macaroni and cheese all day. Even though when I go back to my, my family house, they think that that's what I eat. I'm like, no, I'm not eating mac and cheese and green beans all day. No, I had to add new things in that I had never tasted, cooked, heard of, none of that. And so when you think about removing people out of your life, in order to be successful, in order to sustain and maintain, it's like not just cutting people out, but finding new people and actively saying, I'm gonna rock with him. How can I give him, like, I got a mentor and our relationship has evolved until now, we got a closer personal relationship. And it was like, I had to stay consistent at that though. Yeah. You know what I mean? There's other people that was in the mastermind that ain't connected with him like I am now, that don't got access to all the things, but you got to stay consistent. You got to be hungry. Always, hold on, bro. We got to talk about it. We got to break this down in the book. I could go on for a while, but this is a lot of the stuff we talking about is from the 10X rule. So I'm going to ask you about that. But first, I never even acknowledged my guy that's in here, Caesar.
Oh, bro, been quiet. He don't got a camera on name.
Yeah,
what's going on, my guy?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
What's up with you, bro? How was your week?
Busy.
Let's hear about it.
Yeah.
You got any deals? You got any deals locked up, Caesar?
No, but I got some leads in Spanish for Lawrence. I'm working with Lawrence with our goals, but work has been pretty heavy this week, but need to get to it this weekend.
Oh, word. You know what? It's crazy that you said that, man. I got a couple of leads like in my CRM that I particularly marked. I'm like, bro, this is Spanish speakers. And I don't speak enough Spanish to actually get to that conversation well. So I'll be like, man, I need somebody to come follow up with the Spanish speakers for me. So I might hit you up. You talking about LT?
Yeah, LT.
So are you in where's your market at? Are you in Texas?
Yeah, Texas, Houston.
Okay. I see. So what are some of your, aside from squatting up with LT and other people and stuff like that, what are some of your personal goals? Like, do you want to be a wholesaler, flipper? What you trying to do?
Well, I think I'm kind of aligning with yours with the multifamily. That's kind of our line of work right now. Mine and LT's is where we, design for like multifamilies and commercial buildings and whatnot. But I do definitely want to see. Yeah, I like the aspect of building something and being able to see it.
Yeah.
Amen. And that's real estate,
Right.
So you now you got me thinking. So when you say you work with that's kind of where you at now. Are you work in construction?
Design.
So what you mean?
Tell me what you doing.
We're electrical engineer designers.
LT told me that.
Got you. How long have you been into that?
I'm about to hit a year with this company specifically. I used to be more on the field before, more on the industrial at the plants and all that.
How you liking it?
The plant life was cool, but it was a lot of heavy work and in the sun. So now it's a lot better because now I'm in the office, right?
Yeah. Are you like designing it on a computer or what?
Yeah. And I don't know I'm sure y'all heard of it, AutoCAD and.
No, I ain't never heard of that.
It's a drafting program that you, like the architect sends you the backgrounds with the building drawings and all that.
See, here's the thing, Caesar. No, we haven't heard of it because we're not professionals in that field. And that's, I'm pointing out a good thing because essentially you the guy for that. And like, if I needed that, I would go to you. And so that's your value. You know what I mean? And that was, kind of hitting on my point, when you focus on one thing and kind of build off what you already established, you would be that guy. As far as like, if the three of us right now said, let's start some sort of business venture, I have my the value that I could bring to the table. Johnny has his, and you have yours. And so what that does make me wonder is, like, from that that entry level into the game, why real estate? Like, what kind of drew you to even be in this meeting looking for a higher education? Because I'm sure if you're looking at, in a wholesale meeting, you're thinking about doing a little bit more than just working for somebody. So why real estate?
I want to achieve that financial freedom.
Got you.
That, create that generational wealth. Just
got you.
And we're behind, us as minorities, we're behind.
Yeah. What's going on, Devin? But
what's the plan to get there, Caesar? Like, what's the short and sweet plan to get there?
I don't think there's a short and sweet plan, but it's just gonna take a little bit of dedication.
Yeah, I agree. It's not necessarily short. It's not short and sweet. However, I think what Johnny's pointing out, and this is a trait that I've noticed, bro. It's not just a real estate thing. It's not even the traditional business. It's just people who can make stuff happen in general, like, period, is the ability to execute. Because us talking about it now, and I done had this very conversation of, why you want to get into real estate? I want to create generational wealth, or intragenerational wealth, I think is the accurate term that, I think we should be using. I'm not sure. But that's the same reason why exactly. I started out behind, I was raised up poor, and said, we need to make a change. And then I discovered real estate, passive income in real estate. And so that's where I set my sights on. And I could talk about that all day, but what's the actual execution? Is the capacity to be able to take what you're talking about, or what you're thinking, or your goals or whatever, and to be able to execute on them. And that might be one step at a time. And I'm sure if you're off into the part of planning it, you need, after you plan it and you get all of that stuff written out, somebody needs to actually put it up.
Right.
You know what I mean? Somebody needs to actually
take action.
Somebody needs to actually start, putting this stuff in, making it reality. It needs to go from. And so are you developing houses, single family, multifamily, office buildings?
And
or designing the electrical.
We do the electrical for the buildings.
For like office buildings?
Office buildings, multifamily.
Caesar, I'm about to hold your feet to the fire, Caesar. You're telling me you want financial freedom. All right. Your value as a person. So how are you gonna get to that? How are you going to get to that financial freedom with what you're doing now? What changes are you going to make to get there? What is, like I told y'all, like real short and sweet in the call, what I plan to do. What do you plan to do? And if you don't know, that's okay, but you got to figure it out.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Definitely need to dedicate some time to making some phone calls, right? Because then nothing happens.
I think that's a good point. Making phone calls. But I'm big on that. Let's help him define exactly.
Yeah, you pick up the phone, but what do you want to do though? What if you get somebody on the phone? What are you gonna do from there? Are you gonna?
That's what I'm saying. It's like you
gotta wholesale it. What is the plan?
But here's the thing, though. It's not just making calls, but you got to be talking to the right people. So who do you want to be making the call to, though? You know what I'm saying? To Johnny's point, it's like, okay. And what we're trying to do, Caesar, at least take advantage of it while you got us here. We ain't going to be able to talk all week long. You know what I mean? So let's take advantage of it now. Let's work out the actual thought process that you need to like create a plan. Because like, I know, what coming up with these electrical plans for an entire office building, if I was just like, if I wrote it on a piece of paper, well, you need to put the electric in and handed that in to my superiors, They'd be like, what?
Yeah.
Bro, get back to work. Finish writing out the real details of this. So let's get to it. So are you saying you want to start off with wholesaling? Are you saying you want to go right to trying to find your first multifamily?
I think I want to start off with the wholesaling. Gotta start off somewhere.
Okay. Why start off there?
To be able to build that capital in order to get.
You don't need capital. And I'm just throwing a monkey wrench in the game because obviously we, as for this particular group, let's start off talking with wholesaling. But I'm gonna throw this little thing in there that just hit me this week because I have been wholesaling. And like I said, I told Johnny I found somebody, a lender, to help me do the flips. And I could do these flips, bro. I don't need to put any money down. I'm not putting a couple. It's like, damn, I thought I needed capital the whole time. I needed the right person. And so, and we hear about it all the time. If you listen to bigger podcasts, there's always somebody telling you, well, we put the deal together like this. You could do a multifamily owner finance deal. And I know that for a fact. So you don't have to put any money down. And so I'm just going to throw this in there. We're going to talk about the wholesaling because that's what we know. But you don't need capital to get to the multifamily. And if you was to make up your mind tomorrow and say, you know what, I want to go right to the multifamily and I'm going to figure it out that way. It's just what you focus on.
That's it. Simple. You can do anything that you focus on. You can do anything in the world that you want to do. Whatever you put between your two eyes and think about and work towards, you can accomplish that. No, there's no question. There's no doubt. There's nothing in the world that says you can't do it. You can do it. But exactly. Yeah, you said you want to wholesale. You said you start picking up the phone. All right, we're walking you through it. Who are you calling? Are you calling people in your Texas market? Are you what's the plan?
Yeah.
And when are you going to start calling? I'm throwing out questions to you, but you can answer them as we go.
Okay. Well, just to make it relevant, LT gave me the Spanish speaking people, and then they're on the liens list.
Okay.
So they have some sort of lien on their property.
Yeah. So when are you gonna call them up?
This weekend.
Okay. Weekends are good times. And so after you reach these people, let's say we can talk about what needs to be said because we talk about that a lot, and you can go back and watch a lot of Johnny's videos to deduce, okay, when I get a hold of these people, what do we need to talk about? But we want to see, and this is in the 10X rule too, which is why I say I do want to kind of talk about some books and make some time to talk about some books. But when you're writing down your goals and you're making a plan, you don't want to get too lost in details because it's about the goals. We're talking about the goals first, and you will get lost in detail, but you kind of want to get and then you go into details when you're ready to take action. You don't need to know everything about everything to take action, as Johnny just explained to us. But so let's say you get a lead, somebody ready to go, then what? We'll talk about what you say to them and how you get through all of that. But let's say you call 100 of these people. Let's say you call 1,000 of them and you get a lead, then what?
Like after the conversation, or?
Yeah, once you've deduced that it's a lead, I'd imagine if you're working with LT, you'd probably just say, hey, LT, I got a lead, and let him handle it. Because I was, I'd imagine so. But
well, I would want him to kind of walk me through his side of the process, right? So I can kind of get a better understanding of what he's doing to push, get that lead into an offer.
Get it? What'd you say?
Get that lead into an offer.
Into an offer?
Yeah, like take that lead and convert it to an offer. Like
I would want to see LT's process so I can basically learn and do it on my own.
Cesar, how many videos have you watched?
I haven't seen any just yet.
Bet. So listen, when I first started out, my very first week, I watched countless videos of YouTube to understand the process of wholesaling, to understand kind of what it is and what goes into it. If wholesaling is really what you want to do, learn the process. And there is so much free information out there on YouTube. Like, I wouldn't even watch any of my videos. I would go straight to the gurus, straight to the people who have been doing it, and listen to what they're saying, and then just go back and implement it. Tomorrow, I got a challenge for you, man. Tomorrow, call those Spanish speakers up and speak to them in Spanish.
Okay.
It's gonna scare you. You might throw up after, but you gotta get the ball rolling. And you gotta pick up the phone and make that first call. Even if it makes you sick, just make that first call. And then find out start watching videos, start knowing what to say. You could just have a basic conversation with them. Like, you can even just cut straight to the point. Like, hey, would you guys consider an offer for your property? Nine times out of 10, they're gonna say no.
Right.
It's all about the one. As a matter of fact, 90 times out of 100, they're gonna say no. And
97 times out of 100, they're gonna say no.
Now, out of 100, I mean, well, it just depends. I like to build rapport first, and I feel like out of 100, usually I'm gonna get about 10 people. They're not gonna say a hard no. What they're gonna do is 10 of them is gonna be like, well, what's your offer? Such and such and such and such. And like, you're right though, the 3 of those 10 will be, yeah, I'm interested. And then 1 out of those 3, you can get you can get some work done. But it's interesting that you say LT's process, because me and LT just had a meeting a couple of weeks ago where I showed him my process, and so he kind of shapes his process. I mean, we've been going back and forth, and we've been, so he's been shaping his process a little bit around how I do my thing, and essentially, it's you reach out to the buyers first. And again, we're trying to. I mean, if you want to work with LT and kind of build your knowledge on working with them, I think that's a really good idea, because him and Jimmy, they already have a system set up, and you can start to learn as you go. You can work and learn. And because they have a system set up, you always got somebody you can rock with if any questions come up or whatever, and you can get a percentage of that. I'm sure that you probably got some sort of, if you bring a deal to the table, I'm pretty sure they'll cut you in, however that y'all have agreed upon, so you can earn and learn at the same time. And so I will say we can at least start there, is that start working with them and make these calls. Again, it's not about talking about making the calls. It's not even this conversation that we're having right now, even though this is some food, this is some good food. It's very, beneficial for all of us to be able to talk. But it won't matter until you actually get there. You sitting down, you got your laptop, and you're looking at the leads, you type that number in, and you actually dial. And just call. Remember this, it's not about convincing them to say yes. It's not about convincing them to take your offer. Just ask. All you got to do is ask, hey, are you interested? No? Okay, bye. Hey, I build rapport. I always build rapport on my calls. I take a couple more seconds to make sure that rapport is built, just because I understand that there are some people that's because it's once you get to a certain level of producing, and this is kind of it's a little bit more of like a pro tip, maybe for like Johnny, because he's trying to do the solo thing, is once you get to a certain level, you got to start paying attention to the numbers. And so if I can, because it used to be for me, it was every 150 people, I would get about 10 interested and then dwindle it. As a matter of fact, it started off as every 200 people. And then as I got a little bit better, it was every 150. And I got a little bit better, it's kind of like every 100 people. And sharpening those numbers up to where you can like figure out what you have to say and understand the people in your market and industry and understand your industry well enough to where you can get more people to open up to you. It'll save you a lot of money, because there are some leads you just throwing away just because you didn't approach them the right way. Because there's plenty of people, no, I'm not interested. All right, I'll follow back up with you. Hey, well, what about that property? A couple months later, what about that property? Oh, I sold it already. But I thought you wasn't interested. Oh, I just didn't approach it the right way. Again, I couldn't have forced them to be interested at the time. But if I could build a rapport, if they really did have some questions, I would have the forefront in their mind. If 10 people are calling them every day, they're going to want to think about, who's that cool dude I was talking to earlier? You know what I mean? Who was that cool dude? He was cool. He was being himself. I appreciate it. We connected. Who was that guy? You know what I mean? And so that'll really help you sharpen your numbers. But as of right now, it's just about to go. And that's the third thing I would say. On top of, we talked about start with one thing. We talked about the 10 people that you surround yourself with. This is detrimental, very important. The third thing is the execution. We could back this plan, but Caesar, if we hit you up next week and you tell us you ain't make no calls, it's not about the wins or the losses. Get in the game and start making calls, and you are a wholesaler at that point. The moment you pick up a phone and you start calling, you're already a doer. You already take action.
And all these Facebook groups out there with people who are doing exactly what you're doing. If you're just bored one day, one night, get on them group chats. I mean, those Facebook groups. See what people are saying and introduce yourself. Message them directly, like, "Hey, my name is blah blah blah. I'm in this market and I'm starting out wholesaling. Do you have any advice, or is there anything that I could do to help you?" Or, "Hey, I'm an electrical engineer. I designed this. Blah, 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 blah. I want to get into this." So that way you're addressing yourself, you're addressing what you're good at, and seeing if somebody can help you out. Starting by yourself and not talking to anybody isn't going to work. It's all about, this industry is all about people, all about who you know. That is it. You can sit there and be lonely in your corner and talk on the phone all day, but it's not going to do as much for you as meeting people and getting around people. So, Steve, I don't want to feel like we're just bombarding you, but
I need it.
Yeah, we're just telling you, like, yo, go, man, go. You were in the meeting last week, and I want to say you were in the meeting 2 weeks ago as well.
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
So that's 3 weeks that's gone by, and you tell me you ain't called nobody yet.
Wait, did you? Have you?
No, I have made some phone calls, but I've been caught up with work and then remodeling my house. That has just been a little overwhelming, but.
Yeah.
I completely understand, but just make some time. Figure out a way to be consistent. And I say that in a sense because I know everybody's life is set up, so you might literally only have probably like 15 minutes in the morning and 15 minutes in the afternoon to squeeze consistency in every day. Because maybe on Thursdays and Fridays, you got more than 15 minutes to devote to it. But I'm talking about where you're going to be consistent daily at. Where you got to figure out in your busy schedule, where can I be consistent? If I only got 15 minutes every day, if I got extra time on the weekends, or if I got extra time on this day or that day, or my off day, or, whatever, when the kids ain't there, then I'm going to take advantage of that extra time. But I'm talking about the time that rain, sleet, or snow, you got to squeeze it in there. If you got 15 minutes, you can make a few calls in 15 minutes. You can get a good conversation. So it's not just about picking up the phone, but it's also about being consistent. You know what I mean? And so that's one thing. And it's all back pay. You're going to have to, you're going to be making calls, just making the calls. And you could be, no, not interested. Stop calling me. Well, why are you calling me? If I wanted to sell my house, it would be a for sale sign in the yard. All of that. You're going to hear it all, but keep staying consistent through that is the exercise itself. You would think that when I get on these phones, I'm supposed to be getting some sort of feedback immediately. That's not it. It's not just that. It's your capacity to stay consistent no matter what you're hearing. It's your capacity to stay consistent no matter if they saying yay, nay, no matter if I got to remodel the house, no matter if a storm come my way, no matter if the roof get blown off the house, no matter if my mama's sick, if this person's sick. And the more you go, the more, the game going to test you, the more you'll get tested by just distractions and things that could take your focus.
Cesar, watch the video. Pace Morby has an avatar video on YouTube. It's like 3.5 hours long, and he walks through every single type of person in real estate. Now, see, me and Cordero are sharks. We're on the phone. We want to call. That might not be your strength or what you're good at. That doesn't mean that you can't get in real estate. That just means you have a new way to do it. Watch that video. It's 3.5 hours long, and it shows people who aren't the let me get on the phone and dial all day. It shows those people how to bring value to other people so that you can get in real estate. Like there's
what was the name of the video? I'm sorry.
It's called Pace More. Just type in Pace Morby Avatar.
Matter of fact, if you can, Johnny, put that in the group, the group me once we get off this call.
Yeah,
so that way everybody can check it out. Yeah. But I mean, Caesar, let me ask you this, because that's another thing that I did want to talk about. When it comes to who you know and the people you meet, it's not just knowing them, because the value of those relationships is going to not just depend on who they are and what value they have, is what value you bring to them.
Right.
Absolutely.
And so that's why I was pointing out the fact that you know something that I have no clue about, this whole electrical planning and things like that. And maybe one thing, the reason why I got this is because I worked for T-Mobile and I worked for Verizon before I even got into real estate. And so my past background, I brought that into the game and said, well, where can I provide value the most? Well, I'm not afraid to hit the phones whatsoever. I got a sales background. I hit them phones all day long. And there's a lot of different entry points in this game, in this business of real estate, where you could insert the value that you already have from your past experience. So let me ask you this. Are you a great caller? Or where do you think, what skill sets do you think that you have in your work history thus far that you've sharpened and you think, man, this is my skill set? And then we can kind of talk about how you can equate that to the business. But tell me, what are some of your skill sets? Is it calling?
I would say it isn't, to be honest.
Okay. Fair enough.
I'm a relatively shy person, so.
So you know what isn't? Do you know what is?
Yeah, what is it? Is it being organized? Are you more organized? What is it?
I'm not really sure.
That's perfectly fine. Not knowing, I think that's perfectly fine. But you need to find out.
Right.
You're self-aware enough to know that I'm not too sure what I can bring to the table yet. So that means that you need to find out, though. There's no timetable on that, but you know what isn't your strength, and you don't really know what your strength is, so you got to find out.
How old are you, Caesar, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 27.
27? Okay.
Young
man. Yeah, man. I mean, think about it. That's something I would say take some time to think about. But I mean, you'll know. Just look back over your career and just say, what have I been doing the most? You know, that's pretty I think that's an objective way of looking at it, where you're like, well, what have I done the most? Like, what do I spend when I spend my 8 hours a day on the clock, or whatever, 10, 12 hours, whatever, what am I doing? What you were doing, but just when you were doing manual labor, that came with its own, because you might be better, you might be the boots on the ground. You might know and understand the layout of a building or whatever, or just in general, it's not just about what you have already. What I'm asking you this because I want to know what you're willing to start sharpening now. That's all I was saying as far as entry point, because you can start wherever you want, even if you're not a good caller. Like, I'm a pretty shy person, dog. I'm kind of an extrovert because I can talk to people, but I don't like people. I don't like interacting or having to try to interact with people. I would much rather just be unnoticed and just do my thing. And so I forced myself to learn sales skills. I started sharpening it because I knew where I wanted to go. And now it's still not like just my favorite thing to do. I just, the better you get at something, you just do it more often. You just do it. You do it more when you're not good, and then you kind of get better, and then the more you like it. I'm not gonna lie, I do kind of like being on the phones is like my comfort zone now. But I say all that to say is, honestly, don't be so worried about not coming in as a professional in some sort of area, because that's not the point. One. And two, I'm just trying to see, you need to figure out where you actually want to start. If you want to start on the phones, then start building your skill set on the phones. Do it now.
Okay.
You're terrible at it. Start building it. And three, keep this in mind. Even the best guy, the top dog, the top G on the phones, it's a constant learning process. You're constantly growing and constantly evolving. So it's not about getting to a like, I either do know how to do it or I don't know how to do it. You just need to be committed to like, this is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to do it until I learn how to get better at doing it. So don't feel pressure like, oh, actually, I'm not good on the phones. Well, I'm sure if I started working with you on Monday, if I came to work with you, I'm sure I'd be terrible. But, let a couple weeks go by and let me just keep showing up. And the reason why every job that we've ever started, we started out terrible at it. The reason why we were able to stick around long enough to actually get good at it is because we get a weekly or bi-weekly paycheck. And that's kind of what's going on. But in this business, you don't get that. You get you get your back pay when you close that deal. But just stay committed, bro. That's one thing I would say is stay committed and just take action on these phones. I think for the next week, I just want to hear, once we circle back with you next week, I do want to hear like how it went. You know what I'm saying? I'm curious how, what are some of the leads? Just make the calls. You don't have to be the super smooth and know exactly everything to say. Actually, be honest with the sellers. Be completely transparent. Hey, I just started working for the company. I'm new. I just wanted to follow up with you and see if you were interested in selling your property. No. And if they ask you a question you don't know, well, oh, I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to that. That's a good question, though. Let me get with my team leader, and then I'll be able to circle back and get that answer for you. And be transparent. A lot of the pressure comes from when we try to be something that we're not. Right. And on the phone, 100%, you got to be yourself. That's the skill set. I did that for like a year and a half. This was after I had my wholesale career, and then I got into real estate, and I tried to be somebody different on the phones. Then I realized, oh, boom, a light bulb went off in my head. Just be myself. If I'm experienced or I'm not experienced, hey, I don't know. I never say I don't know. I always say that's a good question. Because, that's a good question, actually. Let me get back to you. I like to laugh. I like to interact with people. Like I said, I don't really I'm cool with it being over the phones. I really don't like meeting people in person. I'm cool with it, especially people that I hit it off with, but I'm not the type of dude who's going to kiss your butt. You know what I mean? If I don't naturally like you, or if I feel like you're being rude to me, we're not going to mesh well, just to be honest, because I don't think nothing in this world that needs to get done requires being rude to another person. Nothing. Right. It's not required. It's not, it's not a part of the process. So if that's going on, then I'm like, I'm done with it. But, I realized that being yourself. Now, there are certain tips and tricks like mirroring their tonality, but you be you. From this week to next week, just be yourself. Jump on these phones. We got the man, the myth, the legend himself in the building.
Please no.
Hey, but hold on. Hold on, LC. I just want to get this out. Caesar, I'm going to push back on what Cordero was saying just a little bit. And Cordero, like, don't get mad at me. Caesar,
get mad.
And also, I don't want you having like a bunch of voices telling you what to do and you feel like you got to pick. I think you should do it is best for you. I honestly think you clearly said that being on the phones is not really your thing. Watch that video and find out which way you can get into real estate. Not saying without picking up the phone, because you're going to have to pick up the phone at some point. But find out what niche or what place in the real estate game you want to be in. What Daryl is saying is absolutely right. Pick up that phone and call that guy, especially you got his contact. LT gave you his information. Give him a call. That's step one. But find out what role you want to play in the real estate. You already know you want to create financial freedom. You already know the end goal. But let's start working on the steps to get there. So find out yourself. Find out what makes you tick, what place in this real estate game, because there's so many layers of real estate. You can pick anything. Find out what gets you going and roll with that. And sitting on the phone and getting a dialer and calling, that might not be your thing. And that is totally fine, because there's so many other ways to get it accomplished. You just got to find out what makes the most sense for you.
Yeah, I'll watch that video. For sure. I need to figure out who I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I do. I agree. I agree. And that's why I was saying is like you figure out your strength and you figure out your entry point. But my point was being that like you can whatever you start off with, you can improve on over time. But I honestly agree with that. And the only reason why I was saying that is because this is a wholesale platform. Because Johnny, it's Johnny's platform. Johnny said he was focused on wholesaling. So without, we could turn this into a broad real estate in general platform, or we can make it hyper focused. And another reason why I said that was because he's got the leads from LT. So I assume like as right now, the next week plan of action will be to follow up with those leads in Spanish. But yeah, no, I ain't gonna lie. You hit it on the head, man, because that's the advice that I would give you. And that's what I was talking about when I said, you don't need to build your capital up first if multifamily is really where you want to go. Because from what I hear, what you're telling me, Caesar, it's like, if you're not good at talking, bro, you're like a lot of people, you need to be listening to more like Bigger Pockets podcast. But again, the reason why I'm kind of leaning in this direction, I don't want to give you advice that's different from what we're going to be talking about in this group. But, you'll see that maybe just pounding the phone off the meat rack ain't what you want to do. But you know what I mean? Like, you'll see that the next 5 years is going to come. Well, you're 27. So the next 3 years is going to come. You're going to be 30 one way or the other. And you're going to spend the next 3 years either trying to be a wholesaler, or you could spend the next 3 years trying to figure out how do I put together a deal, a multifamily deal with no capital, without any money out of my own pocket, but I do have ownership. You could do that. Just figure out what your value is, like Johnny said. But LT, I'm glad that you're here, LT, because you can kind of give us more clarity on Caesar and what his role is to you guys.
Yeah, what did I miss? What happened?
We were just trying to Johnny wants to give him listen, we could talk about doing it, but let's get some sort of real actionable steps that Caesar can take to put his goals, turn his dreams into reality.
Okay.
And so, but I don't think we really understand. So you got him, he's like working as a like an acquisition or just like a follow-up for the Spanish leads or something like that?
No, so right now he's been reaching out to like the absentee owner list and some of the liens lists, people that we have. I've been people that I come across that, either know English at all or like they're kind of like half, and I don't have enough of my repertoire to keep it going. But I got something for them. I'm gonna Google Translate one of these people one of these days. They just don't know it. But yes, I wanted to send him some of those because I thought that maybe between him and his wife, because his wife calls too sometimes, I figured between the two of them, maybe it might be like a comfort zone for him, you know what I'm saying? Or maybe it might just be like, maybe there might be some cultural things in there that might be able to take advantage of.
That 100% works. I've gotten deals because I brought some, Hispanic family, friends and stuff like that. Can you say this? And the deal went through. It would not have went through without that. Those sellers that speak only Spanish, you get somebody who speaks their language. Now you're talking my language. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I mean, that's kind of like literally that's kind of what I was trying to set up. So I mean, right now he's just he's kind of doing the same thing. Not the same thing, but as far as like his responsibilities, he's really just calling right now. You know what I'm saying? Just trying to get somebody on the phone, see if they're interested, see how far you could take the conversation, how much information you could get out of them, basically see, if they're motivated, see, take the temperature a little bit. And then if they are, then you let either Jimmy or me or both of us know. And then either one of us will jump in. It'll probably be me. They'll jump in. And then, that's kind of what it is right now. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha. And yeah, I think we was just trying to deduce like, what's the next plan of action? And I think that the thing was, though, we were discussing the difference between his role in, you know, in this, the rapport that you and him have set up, like his partnership and y'all's company, and then also his personal goals. And I think those are two different things. And so I would say on a personal level, definitely, Caesar, you need to determine what your strong suits are and what your goals are, and then make them connect. And that's what you should just spend the next, you know, your free time. But in the roles of working with LT, like I said, I think that's a great place to start. And when you meet somebody who can provide value to you, you got to ask yourself, what value can I provide to them? Don't just find people that you can link up with that they do like, dang, that would be a great person to link with. And like, let me just link up with them and suck all the life out of them. It's like, no, bro. You got to find somebody and say, hey, how can I provide value to you? If somebody, if you've done 10 deals and that dude has done 100 deals, okay, what do I bring to the table that can improve you? And that way I can benefit from you. That's what I've had to do with every mentor that I've had, both paid and unpaid. And so when it comes to working with LT, I mean, he said he's not good on, or not that he's not good on the phone. He said that's not necessarily.
He's not comfortable on that. He's not comfortable. I don't ever think nobody's just not good on the phone, because we talk on the phone all every single day, right? He's just not comfortable. You know, and especially this being probably, I think this is his first like role like this.
Sales role. Yeah, that's what we was talking about, his work history.
LT, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
If Caesar's doesn't like being on the phone, because I can tell from you already, you can get on the phone and you can dial your butt off and have no problem with it. From the vibes I'm getting from Caesar so far, he's not trying to get on the phones and dial. It's not really his thing. So what benefit could he bring you other than pounding the phones off the meat rack, like my boy Cordero said? That was a great thing, Cordero. That was hilarious, bro.
But that's the thing. I mean, that's the thing. Like we all got either money or time, right? So it's like, you know, he's, you know, sacrificing his time trying to get to a certain point. That's kind of what we're all doing. I mean, it would just be putting his efforts into it, because there's not much wiggle
how you can provide.
You know,
absolutely.
Outside of him saying, you know what, I'm gonna go knock on some doors, I'm gonna drive for dollars, like whatever, any like thing that he wants to do on his own. Like I don't like when I first started, I would call up wholesalers and, you know, dial for them just because that's what I could do. Like with us, we're already kind of doing that part of it.
Yeah.
So that's what we can offer. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not like we got a whole bunch of stuff going on. I mean, every day we on the phones, every day we trying to get something going. So, you know, hopefully, you know, if he wants to hang around long enough, it's a situation where, you know, once we kind of get some momentum, then hopefully there might be something,
another opportunity or something.
It might be able to like a different, unique way to get him involved. But I mean, he got a lot of stuff going on too. Like what is, you know, Caesar, I'm mad you got me talking about you and you sitting right here, bro. And
I know.
Johnny asked LT a question. But that's a question for Caesar though. Caesar, what value? But at the end of the day, that's why we asked Caesar what his goals was first. That's why I asked you, okay, you want to do multifamily, but do you want to go straight to multifamily or do it wholesale? He said wholesale. The name of wholesale, the name of that business is, Brent Daniels said it best, TTP. You either talk to sellers or talking to buyers. And I always tell people this, when we're talking about wholesaling, that's why I was going into the spiel about you got to improve talking to people. And that might not be your comfort zone, then wholesaling ain't the business for you.
Yeah.
If you're wholesaling, don't sell yourself short because you haven't done it yet. I mean, I started off in sales, working at T-Mobile. Boy, I was trash. I was trash. For a long time, I was trash. But I knew I was learning. But just because you got to start and you're not good when you start, that doesn't mean you can't improve. But the name of this business is talk to people. So the value that he would be able to add to LT's business it's talking to somebody.
It's calling. Yeah.
You're going to be talking to somebody. Either it's the sellers or it's maybe some more buyers. If you want to jump in on the dispo side, it's talking to something. You could probably be boots on the ground if you wanted to just be boots on the ground. That's an important thing.
The only other thing is maybe just go knock some doors or some foreclosure leads or something like that, just to kind of see what's going on. But then even like, I don't know, Caesar, let me ask you, would you go knock on doors?
I think that's tougher than being on the phone. That's talking.
Yeah, it does seem tougher, yeah.
Can I ask Caesar a question?
I feel like where we're at right now is where, you know.
Just so you know, LT, by the way, Caesar never said any of this. We're kind of like, me and Johnny are trying to like,
nah, it's too late.
Drag it out him.
Too late.
But Caesar never said, Caesar wasn't like on the call before you got on here like, man, I'm sick of calling for LT. Like, he didn't say,
he didn't say that.
He was cool.
I mean, yeah, but it's cool. I get it. I understand.
Hey, Caesar, let me ask you a question though. Based on what you've heard from all three of us, what do you think? Because I know what I would think if I was in your shoes, but I want to hear what you think. Based on all the opinions and all that we've said so far, what is it that you think?
Well, what I think is, I remember when I was in the field, I always wanted to get one of those salesman positions, you know, because they lived a little bit better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think I just gotta watch some YouTube videos on salesmen and stuff like that, just to kind of build some confidence and make them phone calls. Because I think in the end of the day, being able to have a conversation is what was gonna get me somewhere.
And you said make those phone calls. For me, in my corner, based off of what everybody said, I would be thinking, damn, I need to pick up the phone and make some phone calls. It's just that simple. So you saying you're going to sharpen your skills and get better at that? That's awesome. You're only going to get better at the phone. And I mean, honestly, Caesar, you can watch videos until you're blue in the face. But until you pick up the phone and start making calls, you'll never really, truly improve and grow those skills.
Right.
Bro, my first, like, I was never a salesman. I never sold anything. I was the type who would buy stuff overpriced because they did a good job selling to me. You know, that was.
Hey, those people make the best salesmen. You'd be surprised because the way you buy is the way you sell. Because the first thing you got to unlearn as a salesman is don't think with your own pockets. But if you already, I'll buy anything, just wave the offer in front of my face, then you thinking with your own pockets. So you assume that other people you sell to are like that. That's where you got that hunger. Most of the salesmen I know, they would be killing it in the sales game, bro. I just made all this money today. And they would go on their lunch break, because I worked in the mall at one point. They would go on their lunch break, came back, spent all their money. Boy. I done bought these shoes. I'm like, damn, bro, you just spent all your money. But you know, so I'm telling you. But I'm saying that's why I was saying it's like, all I was saying is like, you got to improve talking to people one way or the other. And if you're saying that you want to go through this wholesale business, I understand the business. And by boots on the ground, I didn't mean to go door knocking. By boots on the ground, I meant, okay, we got a property that's locked up and I need somebody to go take pictures of it. You could be the guy who goes takes pictures. That's it. That's all you can do.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, hopefully we get some momentum going, so it opens up some more opportunities. But
hey, I watched the video of this dude who is like 80, and he said he doesn't use the word hope, and he started talking about how hope is like, oh, I hope this happens. No, damn it, this is gonna happen. So LT,
I intend to. Somebody said that to me. That's a good point. I intend
to jump in because fuck that hope, man. When you get it going.
I like this kind of energy. Yeah, let's go. Let's do
it. It's been like this since I got on.
And I mean, as long as you're making the calls, as long as you're putting the work in, this business will return. It may not return as quick as you want it to, but it's going to return. And then as long as you stay consistent, it's going to be like the floodgates open when you get that first deal. And I think, Caesar, from what I'm hearing from you, Caesar, correct me if I'm wrong, you're already doing. That's why Caesar's here in this position. Absolutely. Caesar knew that. And that's why before Caesar jumped on this call today, he already knew I want to be a wholesaler first to get into the business. I want to improve on my sales skills. So he connected with the right person. He connected with LT, somebody who has more of a system than he does, and said, let's make some calls. And so he's uncomfortable now, but all he got to do is continue to do. And he's been making calls. He's going to continue making calls. And I just wanted to say, let's, that's why I was saying next week when you come back, I need to hear that you made some calls, and let's just break down those leads and what happened from those or those prospects. Because while you just cold call them, they're just prospects. Once you, this is what I talked with LT about. And LT, having somebody like Caesar on your team can really help, because Caesar can do all the cold call. He can do the first initial interaction. Just teach him how you want to say it. And then when Caesar, like, this is a lead, then LT, you only need to be talking to the hot and warm leads. So that way you're spending you're spending your time doing the most valuable things for you. You know what I'm saying? If you've got somebody who can help on that front, and Caesar is willing to improve on his sales skills or his talking to people ability, then have him do all the cold calls so he can get better. It's just a number thing. Jump off in that dialer. The leads go to LT. LT, you're following up the leads, because that's going to be its own job in and of itself, is the lead manager, right? And so that'll be perfect. But me and LT already talked about that though. But yeah, man, I want to talk about some books, if y'all don't mind. Can we talk about some books? Because I know we actually got into it last week, Johnny.
Yeah, but we didn't dive all the way in.
Didn't dive all the way in. It was good. So 10X rule. I know you said you was in that. Like, have you read more of it?
So what happened was I haven't bought Audible yet. So I just listen on YouTube to audiobooks.
YouTube, dog.
They had the 10X rule by Grant Cardone, with Grant Cardone speaking on YouTube. I got halfway through it and they took it off of YouTube. So I started it back up.
That's happened a lot. Trust me, before I got Audible, that's how, and then after I got Audible, I went back and bought all the books that I listened to for free. That's just the type of person I am.
got a playlist full of books, of audio books, ready to go.
Just type them in. Oh, another thing, bro, not to cut you off, but this is a little gem that somebody taught me as far as those books. The library, the Nashville, Tennessee library, you can get you a free library card, and they got audio books. They got free audio books. To a lot of books that you wouldn't think. Like, they got the 10X rule off in there for free.
Yeah, and I just looked it up. It got posted again, so I'm gonna finish it. Yeah. I'm halfway through it. The 10X rule. The thing that I took just from the first half was, how you said the first half is all about changing your mindset, and then he starts getting into really pumping it up.
First half kind of slow.
Yeah, one of the things that I learned early on was, like, don't set a goal that's easy to attain. Set a goal that blows it out of the water. That way, if you come up short, you're like, but I did all these other things, right? Because if you set it at 1 and then you take 1, you kind of take your foot off the gas. But if you set it at 5, you're going to do that 1 and be like, I got to get even closer. Now you finish and you're at 4. Even though you're 1 short, you heavily surpassed that first one that you set. So that was the biggest thing for me. I literally erased all my goals. Like, I have a goal, like, whiteboard that hangs right above my desk that I look at every day. I literally erased every single thing I had written and just rewrote, like, what I had. And that was the thing. Instead of doing, I'm going to close 1 deal this month, I'm going to close 10 deals this month. And I'm going to go after that.
I call the 10X rule.
You know what I'm saying? So it was just take everything that you think that you're doing, every goal that you have, and increase it and really go after that. So that was my biggest takeaway in the early part.
Absolutely, man. Honestly, the way I came on that book it was 2020, because that was the year that COVID reached the US and all of that stuff. So it was the top of 2020. I don't usually make New Year's resolution, but I told myself, man, I just feel like I need to start reading more books. As a business person, I need to take myself serious. Like, I knew that was a big difference. That's why I said, Caesar, earlier, you're going to be constantly educating yourself. Once you start taking it serious, you got to be constantly feeding it. It's like putting gas in your car. You can't be a NASCAR racer and forget to leave the gas at home. You can't do that. That's got to be an important thing. And so your books and your education is that. And I was like, how many? I could have said, man, I want to start reading books. I almost was going to say, well, let me read a book. Like I want to read a whole, I had never read a book. Well, I only read one book from cover to cover at that point. And I was like, man, let me think. And I was like, man, all right, I'm going to do 10. I was like, man, bump that. I said, I saw Warren Buffett read 52 books a year because there's 52 weeks in a year. I said, I'm doing 52 books. By the end, and I took it serious too, especially when COVID came around, we was all on lockdown. I was like, I can take it even more serious. And I got deeper off into the wholesale business. So I started reading more books. I came across the 10X rule. I was like, yeah. By the end of that year, I didn't do 52. I did like 28 books. I read like 28 books. But if I had set my sights on 10 books, bro, I would have never hit 28. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because most people drastically underestimate how much of their own effort it's going to take to reach their goals. And that's why when you're setting goals, you don't get lost in the weeds. You set the goals and just go after them. But that's absolutely, if you aim for the moon, you're not even going to break through the atmosphere. But if you aim for the stars, you're going to land on the moon. And so that's one of the biggest takeaway. And obviously that's a huge point of the book, the 10X rules, 10 times.
Yeah, like my dad, like kind of piggybacking off you, my dad always told me, he was like, look, we don't look at the hurdles. We just look at the finish line. So you know what you want and you know what it is, then go for that. You're going to step over things on the way to it, but we're not worried about the hurdles. He always said, we're never worried about the hurdles. We're just focused on the finish line. So that ties in completely with what you're saying. Like, hey, shoot for the stars and don't worry about what you're going to come across. Don't worry about, oh, I need to learn this first. No, you don't. Learn it when you get there. When you get there, pick it up.
And that's why from our conversation, when we linked up and we met, I was like, bro, he's got it. If you hadn't read the 10X rule, I knew that, especially when you get off into this second half, bro, trust me. When you get off into the second half, it's going to start talking about, the first half is talking about why you 10X your goals, the value of having goals, etc. But now it's talking about the 10X effort you put into those goals. Now we're talking about getting up and running. You're going to be fine. I read, bro. I don't just read books one time ever. Now, after that year, after I set my sights on that, I've read 10X rule well over 10 times. And I'm talking about start to finish. I've read it probably 20, maybe closer to 30 times from start to finish. Because I listen to the audiobook while I'm working out, while I'm driving, while I'm whatever. Sometimes when I'm in a dialer, I just have the AirPods in, and then if a call come through, I pause it. Yeah, whatever. Boom, we back. We listen to 10X rule the whole day. But that second half, bro, is going to really, trust me, I can't wait to hear what you got to say. As a matter of fact, I'm thinking about making my YouTube channel about breaking down business books, because you get a lot of information out of that, a lot of perspective, a lot of narrative is created around those books.
Yeah. I'm trying to pull it up. I just finished the book the other day, and I have so many books in there. I don't even. Oh, Profit First. Have you read that one?
Yeah.
I read that one. It's like a 4-hour audio book. I listen to it straight because I get up early in the morning and I go work out. I listen to it from the time I woke up, through my workout, through my shower, and all the way up until I was sitting at my desk ready to go.
Yeah,
it was just so powerful. I was sitting there like, wow.
Yeah, no, that's a good one.
I was ready to go set up bank accounts yesterday, you know what I'm saying? But I'm like, let me hold on, let me close. As soon as this first deal comes in, I mean, not first deal, but as soon as another deal comes in, I'm gonna have that wire, and then I'm going to like divvy it up. I've already been implementing some strategies without reading this, but now that I read this, I'm like, yeah, that's the way that every business account should be set up.
Yeah,
really enjoyed that book.
That book is big, man. That book is big, especially if you don't come from a place where money itself is kind of understood, the flow of money is understood. Yeah. And that's another book that I would recommend in the beginning, reading it, obviously. And just like another book, I think I recommended to you, LT, was the E-Myth Revisited or something like that.
Yeah, you recommend that to me too.
Yeah, those books help you understand the structure. And now I'm real big on like, don't think, oh, I gotta get big and then I can set up the structure. No, think about the structure from the beginning, because you're going to get to a place where you want to scale. And if you don't have any structure, you can't scale, period. If you don't have structure, you can't scale it. It's not scalable. If LT's doing some calls and Caesar's doing some calls and Jimmy's doing some calls and they don't have each role defined, then how are they going to replace themselves out of the business? How's LT going to work himself out of the business? How are they going to say, well, we need to do more of X, Y, and Z if there is no X, Y, and Z? There's no clearly defined X, Y, and Z. I do a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And also, you know, that book, The Profit First, is like money-wise, it kind of defines like how you do this and how you do that. And it'll I'm big on getting that structure down pat from the get-go, from the beginning. And then you build on that. And because I did it wrong, I'm trying to tell you, I did it for like years, trying to just make it make sense out of nothing, thinking, oh, I'm going to get to a certain place and then we're going to get this worked out. I'm like, bro, if I had to just started with some structure off the rip, then I would have been, you know, where I'm at a lot sooner. So I know that'll help. A book that I'm really big on right now is Who Not How. Now that book, I love this book, Who Not How. It's just, you know, pretty self-explanatory. It's talking about, I don't need to worry about how to do everything. Everything that I need to get done in my business, I don't need to be thinking, how do I do it? As a matter of fact, that's counterproductive. I'm only one person. And as a matter of fact, I'm probably not the best person to do everything in my business. Honestly, I'm probably not the best guy. I'm really good at acquisitions. I'm really good at marketing and acquisitions. That's why I was saying I need a dispo manager. I'm not as good as dispo manager as the dude I just linked up with. Now I got a dispo manager and he's way better. That's why I got a deal. It's like, man, on my own, I made 10K. I can make 10K on the deal. He got me an offer on it that was 50K. That's a huge difference, bro, because he's better at it. And me trying to figure out how to do it. Like, how do I do dispo? How? No, I need to figure out who can do my dispo. And then you're bringing value to other people because you're bringing them into your system and they're bringing value to you. And so it's a great partnership, but then you start to realize the book goes, and I'm not completely finished with it, by the way, but that's what I'm on now, is it's like, this can go deep, bro. This can go deeper than just business-wise. It's like, man, you trying to figure out, like, I need to figure out how to make more time to clean, cook, and all of this. You realize that people have maids and nannies. And I know, obviously, you know, we're like, that's the crazy thought. Like, that idea is so far away. Like, man, like, having a maid, like, what? That's an expensive luxury. But once you master the concept of who, not how, then first of all, you get more money start to flow into you because you're able, there's no business, there's no system that isn't ran on who's or people that's helping the one guy who had a vision. You got to be able to plainly and clearly articulate your vision to people and bring value to them so that they can bring value to you. And let them get the free range to do it to the best of their abilities because they're better at it. But as you start to do that, it compounds. You've got more free time and you get way more money coming in. And then the concept of, oh, I could hire a maid, because now you're looking at it like, man, I'm getting my time back. I ain't got to stop, pause to clean my house up no more. Somebody gonna clean it because I make $100 million moves. My time is way more valuable at that point. You know what I'm saying? So Who Not How is a really, really good book. I've been on it, and that's why I said I'm looking for a dispo manager. I'm not trying to get better at dispo.
Yeah. You said you got one, right?
I did. All glory, all praise be to the Most High. I did.
That's what's up, bro.
I put it out there. It took some time, but it came back, and I did. I got somebody to help me with my dispo, and it's like,
that's what's up. Is he working like just in your business, or how's that kind of dynamic?
no, it's my mentor.
Okay.
Here's the thing. He was looking for another market. He's got his market, you know, and he's in Tennessee. His home market is Atlanta. He was looking for another market. I'm looking for another market. I want to go into more markets anyway.
Yeah.
But I was like, man, I really want to get this dispo thing. And I didn't even put it out there like, hey man, you want to do some dispo? He was like, yeah, what's going on? I was like, hey. It kind of like, it came together real organically. And then it was like, you know, this and this, let's link up. Let's do more text messages. let's do this and that. And he was like, man, I got to connect to these, what was we talking about? The hedge fund buyers. He was like, yeah, but I can get a hold of them, like their Tennessee market or whatever, and I can get these buyers and these buyers. And he's just got a system where he does that. And in his business, his VAs do all the acquisition. He doesn't do acquisition. He only does dispo. He was like, let me come over. I was like, bro, I just shoot them over to you, bro. I got so many deals. I just keep shooting them over to you. He's like, all right, yeah, shoot them over, bro. We start getting offers back. I was like, oh my goodness. It's the who, not how. It's the who, not how, because it's funny because like left to my own devices, I can get this offer, like I was saying in the beginning. But if you get somebody who knows what they're doing in the dispositions arena, and they know how to do that, they know how to properly put it together, get the right feedback, say the right things to the buyers, those offers come back higher. And therefore, I can get sellers more competitive offers. I can get more a broader spread on my assignments, or just my wholesale fee in general, and all of that. And so it was finding the right the point being is, if there's something that needs to get done in your business or in your life, sometimes it's not about you figuring out how to do it. It's about finding the right person to do it and creating a relationship that allows them to do it for you and you to do something for them. So in order to find a who, you need to be a who. It's very important. That's why I was talking to Caesar, like, well, Caesar, what's your skill set? What's your qualities? Or in this case, what qualities do you want to improve on? Because you got to bring that to the table. And LT, him and Jimmy need more people talking to people. And so that's a great relationship. You can find somebody that can help you. You can probably get a lot of tips and skills, the development from LT. But then you bring value to him by talking and bringing your Spanish speaking. Being able to be bilingual is valuable.
Right.
Real talk. And in a regular job setting, you could get paid a couple dollars extra per hour just by being bilingual. So it's like, you can't say, I don't have any skill set or any value. Well, you didn't say that, but I'm saying that's another thing. Consider that. Put that on it. That's another value that I bring to the team. Because I don't speak Spanish. LT does. I mean, I speak a little bit. We can probably make our way, get some food. But as far as holding a total conversation,
bathroom,
yeah, El Baño, you know what I mean. But I'm not going to be able to actually close the deal. That's the value that you bring. You're the who. You're the who for LT, and he's the who for you. So who, not how is big. LT, do you have any books? Are there any books that
that's about to ask you
come across in your, sales career or just in general that you know?
I've listened to a lot of audiobooks over time. I was huge into Grant Cardone at one point, because when I was selling cars, I would listen on my way to work, while I was at work, after work. Like I had the wristbands and everything. Like I completely committed. So he got a couple books, like sales books, The Closer's Guide. He got
Sell or Be Sold.
Sell or Be Sold, yes, Sell or Be Sold. He got that. When I read 10X, I like 10X. I got to go back to it. I haven't been on it in a while. So trying to think. So you know who Tom Hopkins? This is an OG, triple OG. He's like an older white dude. I listened to him when I was knocking doors. Between him and Zig Ziglar, they had some stuff that really was super duper duper fundamental, but at the same time, just the way that it comes across, like how natural in conversation, the way that they talk about stuff. They got some really good books too. I have to dig so I can get the names for y'all so I can share. But just those two names right there, there's material out there on both of them. So
what are some of the like points that you feel like help you or develop your sales capacity?
So Zig Ziglar, he was the first one that I heard with that thing about like whenever somebody asks you a question, you answer it and redirect and ask another question back. He was the first person I heard that actually said that. He also was the first one that like when you're having a conversation with somebody, you kind of leave it open ended at the end. Like whenever you say something, whenever you're having a conversation with a seller, you kind of leave you want to set that what do he call it? I forgot what he calls it, but it's like when I'm like if I'm showing somebody a car and I'm like, yeah, this is nice, isn't it? And they're like, yeah.
Open-ended?
What's that?
You're looking for open-ended?
Not necessarily ended. Well, yeah, I guess open-ended. Where he's like you kind of get them just agreeing with you until the end. So it's like pre-closing almost.
I got that from Grant. I heard that from Grant Cardone first. The pre-close, what you're saying is like get them to say yes, 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 yes to just random things.
Yes, for sure. Zig is big on that because he does a lot of. He's like an old school so it's like, hey, yeah, this sure is nice, isn't it? This sure is great, isn't it? Oh, this is so wonderful. It's like that's kind of how he has his conversation. But it's all about building value at the end of the day, and then getting them to agree with you at the time, building it up. And then sometimes when it's the same, vice versa, the same thing when you want to take value away, or if you want to devalue, you're selling a car, you're trying to devalue the trade, you got to say certain things, you got to ask certain questions. So Tom Hopkins, I liked him just because he had a lot more, man, I'm going to find that book and I'm going to get it for y'all because he had some stuff in there that was really good. And at the time I was door knocking. So his stuff really helped because it was more like one-on-one personal conversations because he was training like insurance people and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm going to do it next week. Let me write that down. I'll get that for y'all.
I got a question, especially with your sales background, because I when I was working in cell phone industry sales, people they make some good money there. By the way, people don't know that, but I would compare it to the car dealership. As a matter of fact, a couple of times I worked right next to them, and we would go back and forth. We would go over to the fellas at the car dealership. We'd be like, "Well, what's going on? What sales y'all got today?" And then they would come over there and ask us like, "Y'all selling anything?" You know what I'm saying? And I would love to pick up tips from him because I know real deal. To me, the pinnacle of being a salesman is cars. Nah, I feel like if you could sell like a toaster or something, like door to door selling like random objects or something, that's next level. And I think I'm not going. It was somebody who was selling encyclopedias. I thought that was Zig Ziglar, but I don't know. But
because he's from way back in the day, so
yeah, they might have been Zig Ziglar. But the conversation or the question is based around quality versus quantity.
Okay.
When I'm in the dialer or even following up with the lead, I want to hit as many people as I can because I know that it's a numbers game, but I really take it serious like it's a craft, honestly. And it's like I'm going to like a lot of people just go in and they might just go like right at it, do you have a house you want to sell? And they do well. People are successful that way. But I think I take the time to build rapport. I take the time to ask them right. Even that tip you said about getting people pre-qualified or not pre-qualified but to get them to say yes a couple of times. That's building it up. You got to actually build up the conversation or the narrative.
Let me jump in real quick because you've said it multiple times. So I got to ask. You said you take the time to build the rapport first. How does that go? So if like you calling a seller and it's one of those sellers who are like, look, I want to get off the phone ASAP. How do you kind of get them to?
They want to get off the phone ASAP, then they getting off the phone ASAP. Again, that's a part of building. One of the main things about building rapport is mirroring them, right? And so if they are one of those people who want to get off the phone, I show them via the way I'm talking to them that I value their time. Okay. Oh yeah, it'll be quick. Let me just ask you a couple questions. And that right there, that'll go a long way. Because if they said that they wanted to be quick, because you got those people who would try to keep him on the phone and try to hold him. That is building rapport when he says, I don't have a lot of time, and I've shortened it up. And I say, okay, what I'll do is I'll circle back with you when you do have time. But what are you interested? Boom, 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 boom. But when we do have the time, I'm building rapport. And I could talk a little bit about that, but I did want to finish the question for LT. So at what point in the car dealership industry where it's like, you guys are like, let's just crank out let's get as many people touched as we can, whether that's hitting up the phones when it's a dry day or trying to get out there on the lot and see anybody who's pulling up? Or is it like, okay, now we need to take the time? Because in order to do that little tip that you say, like get them to like start saying, yeah, so that's a nice car, huh? You're in conversation with them and you taking your time building it up to get to the slam. So where did you find the balance between quality and quantity is what I want to know.
So that's a loaded question because exactly why? Because I worked at a dealership that does volume.
Okay.
Most of the dealerships I've worked at do volume. I'll say that. So but I have really good friends that work in like highline dealerships. So if you're at a volume dealership, then it's a numbers game.
Okay.
Point blank. You can get gross on deals. Like you can make money on deals, but in a volume dealership, it doesn't make sense for you to go for to only solely focus on the home runs. Like there's guys that they'll do 8-10 cars a month that will make 10, 20, 50 grand a month just on those 8 cars, right? There's guys 30 cars a month that'll make, I don't know, 3-4 grand for the month,
bro.
So it just depends on how it's set up. As far as like now working in a volume dealership, what I'll say is that it's kind of just it's very similar to this, where like, yeah, of course you got the fresh ups, the people walking through the door, but 9 times out of 10, those aren't going to be the people that like. It's rare that you just keep running into people. Like it could happen, like especially in the summertime, people are buying. Like you can have really good days in the summer, but like realistically, most of your deals are coming from follow-ups. In New York, because I worked out here in selling cars and I worked in New York selling cars. In New York, if you weren't hitting the lease list in a volume dealership, then you kind of were just shooting yourself in the leg. Because it was literally like the easiest. That was one of the turning points for me with the phone, because it was like, yo, they're coming back anyway, or they got to go get a car from somewhere. Whether they got to get another one, or they got to just buy it out and stay in it. Either way, they still got to come back here. So why not at least just set the appointment? Set the appointment, and then boom, boom, boom. And then if you know what they want, you know what they like, like the conversation is just easier when you kind of do most of the groundwork up front, right? But if you weren't organized with your day for the most part, then it could just kind of get away from you. So volume is kind of really all about just, I guess, finding the sweet spot. Because if you chase everybody that comes in the door, you're running through ups. Now your manager is going to be pissed. Now all the other salesmen are going to be pissed. Now you're running through people and you're wasting all these good opportunities. Those guys don't really last that long. And they're usually guys that's hanging out in the front of the dealership that's just chilling.
Yeah, I've seen those guys. I'm like, bro, whatever. It's always a real young dude with an overly sized suit on, and it don't fit him well. But it just brings you saying that does remind me back, because I worked at several different I worked for T-Mobile, I worked for Verizon, and obviously the pay structure has a lot to do with it. How that company does their commission has a lot to do with how much money you're going to make. But it does remind me, like at T-Mobile, the commission was not as good, but it was definitely more of a volume. and how their entire business from the top down was more of a let's crank them out, because they wouldn't even allow us to sit down. They didn't even allow us like you couldn't sit. There was no chairs in the thing at all. You couldn't sit and the customers couldn't sit. Their whole thing was let's start cranking out volume. But at the Verizon though, the pay, I worked at a Verizon and it was a franchise one. So it wasn't a corporate one. The pay structure was different and they were, all of its volume. That's why I said a balance between quality and quantity. And I don't want you to think because I focus on building rapport that I have spent a lot of time on the phone back when I first got started, but I don't want you to think because I'm building rapport that I'm like spending too much. Nah, I'm getting to these numbers. My numbers are still up and I got to keep my numbers. That's why I say we texting 6,000 people a day. My lead follow-up, I'm talking to probably at least 50 lead, like I'm talking about hot leads. I'm calling 50 of them every day on top of being in the, like my numbers is there now. I'm talking about now. But you just bring up something because when I was at the Verizon, their thing was quantity and quality. Like I just so happened to work at the Verizon that had all, you know how you work at some stores got the heavy hitters or just some sales, like you know who the heavy hitters are.
Yeah. That's the thing.
I worked with the heavy hitters and I was still brand new, didn't really know what I was doing. So they just kind of put me at a really hot location because I lived close to that store. And what I saw was their thing was if a lady come in there and say she want to upgrade her phone, this is where the quality comes in. They going to talk to her. I'm upgrading your phone, but I'm in your account. I'm looking at it. I'm getting more information. Oh, you got kids? What? Yeah, so I got my kids. They building rapport. They're talking about kids. So that way, when I offer them a tablet on top of that, and I offered them the watch to go with the phone, they just came in for the upgrades. Every single person came in for an upgrade, left out with at least two items. So that means if they came in for an upgrade, they was leaving with a new phone and a new tablet, at least. So I mean, some people would leave out with a new tablet, new watch, new phone, screen protector, case, the whole charger, the whole shebang. And hey, bro, this is something I keep low key. At that particular store, we could charge what's called a setup fee, like the cost that we could charge to transfer all your data over from your old phone to your upgraded phone, put your screen protector on you, clean that thing up, get your case, and have you walking out here ready to go with just new phone, but you didn't have to do nothing. You didn't have to take it home and, transfer all the data. But they let us type in however much we wanted for the setup fee. So some of these dudes was charging $20 per setup fee. Some of these dudes was charging $300 just to set up a person's phone. These dudes was quantity, but they was really, really heavy on the quality. When I say quality, they was going to maximize every lead that came into that door. Every person, I'm not just going, we would call it order takers. Now, if somebody come in and say, all right, I want to upgrade my phone. Okay, I'll upgrade your phone. That's taking an order. But I am the salesman and I'm going to, oh, you want to upgrade your phone? It's my responsibility to start asking you probing questions. Okay. If you got kids, they will get on your head, boy. If a person said anything about having kids and you didn't offer them the tablet for the kid or they had these little kid watches so you can keep track of your kid and all of that. It's like, that's what I mean by quality versus quantity. And those dudes that was able to maximize their quality and actually maximize every lead, they was making, bro, I'm talking about over 100,000 a year. Like they was going crazy. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's like maybe dudes in the car dealership was making more, but for cell phones, they was, you would assume that
a lot of money for cell phones. The
Verizon guy making McDonald's money, but he's not.
Mobile and Verizon. So I know exactly what you said. He used to work at the kiosk in the mall. And then he upgraded and went to Costco or BJ's or one of them. But yeah, like I know I recruited him to come work for me when I was a leasing manager at Smithtown Nissan in Long Island, New York. And I recruited him from his cell phone joint to come work with me selling cars, working on the phones, because it's just, that's where the money was at. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
To the people. I wish Caesar was here because I would have told him like, yo, bro, I was a trash car salesman for a little while. I was a trash door knocker for a little while.
Trash
until
for a long while.
until something clicked, and then or until I just had to not be anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, very true.
So it was
Very
like
true.
whenever, like at some point, and he's like, yo, I gotta go knock on these doors, so I might as well just like, or it's like, yo, I gotta make these phone calls. So at some point, it's just like, yo, you know what? I'm gonna be on the phone anyway. Like I might as well just like,
Yeah.
you know, that's just kind of what it was. So,
but you got to stick with it long enough to reach that point, and most people will tap out before they reach that. But something crazy though, and you just hurt my feelings, LT, man. Because you know what? You know how you was just talking about the dude that's all over everybody and at the front desk and standing out front? That was me. Because I didn't work at a kiosk. Bro, I'm trying to tell you, I didn't work at a kiosk, but we was in the mall. We had a store. You know what I mean? But I was standing outside the front of the store as if it were a kiosk. Hey, come on in. Come on in. I was getting all of the leads, and I was the most trash dude there. I was trash. My sales was bare minimum. I was doing what I needed to get by. The only reason why, well, looking back on it, I would say the only reason why I was trash because I was definitely afraid of, because if you type something wrong into the computer, I could end up paying, you know, for a $3,000 phone tablet combo. You know what I'm saying? That could come out of my paycheck. And I was so worried, like I didn't want to upsell anybody because I'm thinking to myself, like, that's going to be more work. I didn't have that fail forward mentality. I was like trying to protect myself instead of thinking, bro, go big and you'll figure it out. Like, just go hard. Like, it took me, again, it took me a while, but I'm telling you, I was out there and people's like, man, he's hungry. I'm like, I'm overcompensating is what I'm doing. Cause I don't, you know, really that's what that was. I would generate so much business from my other partners. They would eat off that. And I'm just like getting people in the door. I was flirting with girls and everything out there. Hey, my mate. And this was in New Hampshire. I was up north.
Well, see, that's kind of what I was trying to talk to Caesar about, man, because sometimes he's just a super shy dude in general. You know what I mean? And he's really reserved. So it's like, you know, I knew he felt this way. I just didn't know that he was gonna you know, I figured, because that's the thing, like I talk to him all day long. You know what I'm saying? So like, and we talk about this stuff kind of all day long. The only thing that I blame myself, well, not the only thing, let me not say that, but I blame myself for not pushing the ball, doing more role plays with him and stuff like that, with him and his wife. I should make more time just to kind of work with them a little bit more. Excuse me. But, you know, like I'll listen back, and to me, it's not like, it doesn't even sound like, when I listen to his calls, he don't sound, I mean, he sounds a little scared whenever somebody jumps on, but like, it just sounds like, you know, he just kind of wants to hurry up and get off the phone. You know what I mean? But like his wife is actually really good, but she just doesn't do it a lot. But I definitely want to definitely make some more time. Like, that's, me and Jimmy had a really long conversation about that too, like last week. So I mean, we are trying to just still figure things out. You know what I'm saying?
That's something I'll say, man. I've been working, and that was another part of the biggest value I could provide to some of the earlier people I partnered with, that was like, they had value to add to me. I was like, let me manage the VAs. And just going through hiring and firing and just bringing new people onto my team that are not just VAs, but people who are stateside. When you bring a new person onto your team, they don't work for you, you work for them. And right. You got to look at it like that, because, and you'll read this in the E-Myth Revisited, he doesn't say it like that, but every person that you have, they have to have a manager. People have to have just natural, you know, even when you're doing your job, you need somebody to manage you. It's hard to really self-manage yourself and keep it in line. It's like, do the job and give them free reign to do their job and to get better and be good at it. But they, you know, you got to manage them as far as like, okay, I need you to steer you in the right direction. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
and that's I wasn't trying to look at it as like a management type of situation, because honestly, in my mind, I'm still trying to figure out if this is what he wants to do. You know what I'm saying?
And like, Johnny got to the meat. Johnny got to the heart of that. Yeah, like, Johnny was like, hey, get for real, bro. You need to get out of it, get in it or get out. And I just had Johnny, you know, like that. But he did, you know, ask the right questions.
Yeah. you know, I speak to him a lot, but I feel like maybe I gotta just initiate that conversation a little bit more. But I mean, yeah, I'm still thinking that, you know, he just wants to fill it out and see what's going on, because I think his mind is legitimately more on like multifamily and like and doing renovations and stuff like that. So, I mean,
even that in itself, what you're describing, that's managing. And again, this is coming from experience, but from the E-Myth Revisited, where he talks about it's your responsibility from your role when you bring a person in to really ask the right questions to ascertain, is this the right role for you? Are you good? Managing starts all the way at the hiring process to bringing people on. And you don't want to, I think what you're saying, you don't want to micromanage. You don't want to be micromanaging anybody.
Well, because it's not like even a hiring situation. It really, so really what happened is he kind of heard me and Jimmy talking and approached Jimmy and was like, yo, can I get in with y'all? So Jimmy's like, all right, well, and I'm paraphrasing, of course, because Jimmy'd have to tell you what really happened. But from what I heard, it was like, all right, well, you know, this is what we got going on over here. You want to get down, you know, you can make some phone calls, and then, you know, we can kind of, you know, see how it goes from there. So it's really, there's nothing really like set in stone or concrete or anything like that, concrete. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm still trying to see if, you know, if this is what he wants to do, or if yeah, because we're not like dependent on him. Like, it's not like we're looking
yeah.
to, you know what I mean? Like, we're kind of more looking internally between me and him, like, all right, this is what the situation is. I'll talk to him and have a conversation with him, you know, about like kind of if we switch something up, like whenever we switch from call rail to batch dialer and stuff like that, I'll be like, all right, yo, this is kind of what we doing right now. This is kind of what we going through, just to keep you in the loop. But I like, you know what I'm saying? So I just kind of really thought that he was just still trying to like feel his way out and see if it's something that he, you know, either really wanted to do, or if, you know, if he was just like, you know what, this might not be, you know, what I want to do.
Right. Absolutely. And I understand because I've been you in that situation, you and Jimmy in that situation, then I've also been Caesar in that kind of situation. And what I'm saying, and I'm using terms like hire and manage and things like that, even though the role isn't official. I'm just using those terms because those are terms that like the terms that I'm using. But essentially, I mean, when you bring anybody, when you find a new hoop, when you bring a new person on the team, when you at least determine that, okay, you're going to be working together in some sort of capacity, there are certain things that like, and this is just, I'm really speaking to myself because this is something that I took the hard route to learn was when you partner with somebody or whatever, you have to get those roles clearly defined. Because right now you're looking like, I mean, like what we're saying is like, I don't even know if this is something he want to do or not. It's like, okay, if that's the case, then you've been wasting time. And he's been, you know what I mean? And so I'm trying to get you to avoid the wasting time and say, when you bring a person on to work with you in the fold in any sort of capacity, whether it's an official full-time thing or they just trying to figure out, you have to, you need to have your vision clearly defined. So that way, in the role, that's why I'm always talking about having the roles and the system clearly defined. So that way you can put Caesar in and Caesar knows I am the cold caller or whatever. You know what I mean? But that way you're not like, I don't know, he don't know, we don't know. And so it probably would be best. He's probably looking for the learning. And honestly, whether you realize it or not, you're still trying to figure it out, but you do have the capacity to teach him what he needs to know. To get good in a position. And if you wanted to add him into the position, if that was something, obviously you, Jimmy, and him need to like get clear, like, is this a thing or not? Right, because the more time you do it without getting clear on that, you're wasting time. And then also you're not upholding what you need to uphold on your end, and he can't uphold what he needs to uphold on his end. And we don't even know if it's a thing or not. Yeah. That's just like when we've heard it before. I know, you know, you're married and things like that, but that's like back when you're in the dating phase and y'all ain't defined, are we something or not? And if she go out on a date with another dude, can I get mad if we ain't defined it yet? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And so when you bring anybody, I don't mean employees or hire or manage. Like, I just mean when you bring anybody into the fold, you need to, is this what you want to do? Is this what you want to be? This is what we need. If you do bring somebody, we need somebody in this capacity. Can you meet that? And if you can't, then, you know, let's keep it moving. No harm. You know what I mean?
Valuable. That's for sure valuable. I appreciate that.
Hey, Cordell, when do you think is the time to grow and expand? To clearly have a partner and have clear defined roles. Because I've heard Brent Daniels, you referenced him earlier.
I know exactly what you're about to say.
He said start out
by your solo, and then when you make $100K, then you bring VAs onto it. That's what I heard him say.
No, no, VAs. I'm talking about like an actual like equity partner. VAs aren't equity partners. Those are employees. I'm talking about equity partners. He said in the beginning, work with a partner. You guys do a couple deals, and then branch out and do your own thing. What do you think about that?
I don't think that's like a one size fits all sort of thing. Yeah. I think, because I know 100% like people who just thugged it out by themselves and they did amazing. And then I know people who squatted up and did amazing as well. I just think that's a matter of personal preference. Yeah. I think more importantly than when do I start bringing who's into the fold, I think it's a matter of finding what are my strong suits? What am I good at? And ask myself, do I need a who? Do I need a person? Do I need a partner? Or am I just naturally good at all these things? Is this whole package my strong suit? And then once you find out, because like LT and Jimmy, they're starting off as a team, so to speak, for the most part, they got what they got going on as a team from the rip. But you can do it dolo. Like you've done a deal solo. I've done several deals by myself. And so I don't think it's a matter of when. It's just, that's a personal, I ain't gonna say it's not a matter of when. But you don't necessarily, it's because almost, I'm not gonna say you just have to. But I think it's best. I think it's the wisest decision. And I think as far as when do you start defining those roles, from the very beginning though. If you are going to bring a person in, or even if you're not going to bring a person in, because I assume at some point you intend to bring employees into the fold because you want to work yourself out of the business. Yeah. I heard a guy say this and it resonated with me, but every business that you start, you need to be thinking about selling that business. And I know a lot of us think about, let's keep the business. If you can't get the business sale ready, then you haven't worked yourself out of it. Man. So you need to be thinking about selling the business, or at least getting it structured to be marketed and ready to go. Because that's like if I built a house and I wasn't building it to where it was good enough to be sold on the market. That would be crazy. That means that there's still something going wrong with it. So as far as bringing equitable partners, I think is like, but here's the thing. It's like the reason, like I said, I know a guy who did everything dolo and he did very well, is because where I would bring an equitable partner in, he just brought VAs and trained them how to do what he wanted them to do. Because VAs or employees, stateside, wherever they are, employees can do whatever you teach them to do. And that's the power of being clear on your vision and then bringing somebody into the fold.
That's why I think starting out, having that person who's doing that role and you're doing this, you guys kind of grow together, is perfect. But at that point, when you both have a lot of capital, both of y'all can venture off into your own thing and then hire those positions. So you guys are each running your separate business, doing the same thing, except you have people who are hired actually running that. Instead of splitting the owners there in half, it's just going to you and you're paying your employees. It's just another way to look at it.
Yeah, it's another way to look at it.
That's all it is. That's all it is, man. There's a billion ways to do this. A billion. You just got to pick one that works for you.
Absolutely. I completely agree, and I'm all about, if I can provide value to you and you can provide value to me, let's eat. You know what I mean? Exactly. I'm all about that, but it's got to make sense. You know what I mean? It's not just money. Money is not the most important thing. I think you'll realize this too when you start to bring people into the fold, whether it's partners or whether it's employees, whatever, is you got to have a like a company environment, like an atmosphere. Like you got to have a
community.
Yeah, community. Like I can think of the word I'm thinking about, but you got to have like a community and like people fit into that. Like culture. This is the culture, the company culture, exactly what I'm looking for. It's like you got to be a part of that culture. And like I've worked with people and we can make a lot of money, but they just weren't my type of people, man. At the end of the day, they just was not my type of people. You got to worry about lying. You got to worry about they just not upright men. Look you straight in your eye, tell the truth all the time. Win, lose, or draw. I'm gonna be real with you. That's my type of person. I'm not gonna put the money over the truth. I'm not gonna put the money over me being real or genuine. That's just not my type of person. Because at the end of the day, there's gonna be up times, there might be down times, there might, the money can go and come. Once you figure out how to do this game, money, you realize it's just a tool. And so you wouldn't prioritize money over being a solid individual. But there's some people that think that that's just how you do it. And do your thing, but stay over there. You're not a part of this company culture. Yeah. So it's just, I think I would focus more, ask the question of like, how do I put a team together? As opposed to when do I put the team together? But like, I'm working on that. Like that's what's been the last year or so of my life has been like, how do I properly put a team together?
Man, you were talking about books. There's a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People. And I took it's written by Dale Carnegie. He has a course that I took. So every person who graduates with a business degree from Middle Tennessee State has to take this Dale Carnegie course. And I took the class once. That's when I had my crazy injury halfway through, so I had to take it again. And I was dreading it, bro. I didn't want to take it. I'm like, man, I know how to be a leader. I know how to be good to people, blah, blah, blah. So, but I took it again, and I fell in love with the course. So much so that I became a teacher's aide for that course in my very last semester because I just loved it so much. And the book that course is surrounded about is How to Win Friends and Influence People. And it teaches you how to be a leader, how to work with other people, and how to treat people to where you can get the best out of them. You know how earlier you were saying in the car salesman game, you were trying to get them to say yes, yes multiple times before you came in. One of the principles is get the other person saying yes, yes immediately, right? So come in, if you're trying to influence somebody, have them say yes to some other things before you pitch your idea, and they might be more liable to say yes to that. So it walks you through all the steps and how to take keys and take certain situations. Like one of them was how to disagree agreeably, or how to disagree with somebody, but in an agreeable way. So it teaches you how to speak to all types of people. And that course changed my life, bro. I walked in not wanting to take it again, not wanting to do anything again, to being a teacher's aide because I just love the course and I love the environment that we're in. And you were talking about building company culture. Bro, that book and that course is all about that company culture. So you might want to check that out. How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's a wonderful. Full disclaimer, never read the book.
Nah, don't hit me with that one.
Never read the book. I took
everything.
Man, I took the course twice. So I heard quotes from the book and I heard everything about the book. Yeah. Never actually sat down and read the book, but I am. That's on my list. I'm going to read it from cover to cover.
Get the book next, because I want to know your. Matter of fact, I'll get it too, so that way we can kind of,
Yeah, bro, we can do that, bro. We can do that.
But yeah, no, that whole experience that you just shared remind me of one time I did this like leadership program. It was only I think it was like a week long. that, you know, I did this leadership program, like fresh out of high school, so I can get they got the Tennessee Promise thing or whatever. Yeah. And so I had to get some community service. And for some reason that was considered community service. They was really doing a service to us who was in this group. But being in that, you know, being in that environment, that was the first time I had kind of like stepped out there, and it was a leadership program. It was teaching us all how to be leaders. But it was really like, you know, it awakened something in me. That experience awakened something in me very similar to yours. So I can understand how that would, like, you know, kind of like propel you forward. Or I think I'm willing to bet that probably like awoke a leader in you. It didn't make you a leader, but it kind of tapped into some of the, you know, qualities that you already had.
It taught me so many things. And what I really loved, like the reason why I became like a trainer, I guess, or a teacher's aide the second time around, was because I love how it took people who were super introverted, people who were super scared to stand up in front of the room. Right. It took those people completely out of their shell and made them comfortable. Like the whole class is about going over these principles and teaching you how to be a leader. But the way that they got you to actually implement that is you had to come back to class once a week and report on it. You had to stand up in front of the class and tell everybody in a 2-minute speech something that happened and how you used this principle in your day-to-day life with somebody who you were working with. So I saw people on the first day, like the very first day, you have to get up in front of the room and talk. And there were people who were quaking in their boots to do that. And then you fast forward 10 weeks and see that same person sprint to the front of the line because they want to talk first. It was such a beautiful thing for me to see that I was like, I want to be a part of this some more. Like, I'm gonna get the award I got, bro. Like, they give out in the course, they give out a highest award for achievement. And my teacher said, if you run into the store in 40 years and you see this person, who are you going to turn to your spouse and be like, man, I can't wait till you meet this person? So I got this award. It says highest award for achievement. It got my name engraved in it, bro. This, whenever I have a desk at a big office, bro, like this is the only thing that'll be hung up. My degree won't be hung up. This is what actually like means a lot to me because I felt like I had an impact on so many people and so many people had an impact on me, and it was recognized through that award. So it was beautiful, bro. Dorian, what's up, man?
Yo.
Hey, this is my boy Dorian. Dorian reached out to me yesterday. He's a new wholesaler out in Philly. Yep. He's hungry. He was the one creating that YouTube channel I was telling y'all about. And man, he's going after it hard. So I'm real happy for him. Definitely want to see his whole process go. Dorian, this is Cordero at the top. Cordero is our seasoned vet of the group. He's done over 60 deals. He's been doing it since about 2019. So he's the big dog. And LT is that man. That's all I'm gonna say. LT is that man. He's in Texas, and I'm gonna let you introduce yourself. Tell us about yourself. Tell us kind of who you are, what you do, and let us get to know you.
For sure. So, like you said, I'm in Philadelphia. I got my real estate license about a year ago. That kind of introduced me to real estate investing. I had met this guy a couple years back, and he told me about getting my license, and that would be the entryway to getting into rental properties, because that's the end goal, of course, is to have passive income, you know, build up these properties so that you don't have to really work too much anymore. So yeah, I got my license, realized I didn't know how to sell, so I started working in the car industry. I was in there for a while. I grinded my way up to be top salesman in there. I made a good amount of money. And I was just like, you know what? I'm putting in too much time at this dealership where I could do this myself. You know what I mean? So I just quit 2 weeks ago, and I just jumped into wholesaling. It was a crazy risk, but I just had to take it because I don't know. Obviously, 9 to 5s, they got their limits, their ceilings. And I just feel like if I start my own business, I can compound and also do the same amount of work I was doing there. Just made sense in my head. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I'm 2 weeks in. I'm new. I'm going hard at it, and I'm just trying to figure it out. So I'm open to any tips or advice. And yeah, that's where I'm at.
And bro's calling. He's not scared to get on the phone, and he damn sure ain't scared to go knock on some doors. He had a fly video today that he might have put on his YouTube. I ain't gonna spoil it. Y'all just go subscribe to him. He had a super fly video, gave me a great idea, and I'm like, man, I want to be like him when I grow up. Like,
you.
Bro had a nice video, so yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Honestly, Johnny, without you telling me that he's cold on the phones, or he's, from what you told me your story, I've interacted with a lot of people from sales. I've interacted with a lot of people from real estate, and like every little detail, from the fact that you said passive, and you did that, because we all know that to a certain degree, like when you get rid of, it's not going to be 100% passive. I assume that's why you did that. Like right. I said, like I peeped a lot of stuff. Your story is like if me and LT's story mixed and created one story, because I didn't do the dealership, but I definitely did. Started off, I knew I wanted to own my own business. And so I couldn't sell. So I worked at T-Mobile and Verizon so I could build up my sales capacity. I started to get better at it, started to get better at talking to people and just doing it that way. And once I got good enough, I said, I could do this on my own. And I just went kind of, now what I did first was I said, I forgot what year it was. I was like, man, I want every dollar that I make to be from real estate in some way, shape, form, or fashion, not from anything else. So that way I'm not wasting my time if I say I want to go in that direction. Right. So I went to work for a property management company for a while, for a couple of months. I learned a lot. And then I was like, man, I'm ready to go full, dive full into it. And I took that same risk that you did. And, it's paid off. I mean, as far as I've grown a lot, you put yourself to the fire and you'll grow a lot as long as you commit it. From understanding that you became the top salesman at the car dealership. Now, I'm sure LT can attest to that. Like, it's some dogs at the car dealership. And from my perspective, it's like, it's some cold-blooded people, just depending on where you work at, it's some cold-blooded people at the car dealership. So to be the number one, I know that's nothing to sneeze at. So yeah, I can imagine you probably cold on, you know how to talk to people, and you're hungry, and you got hunger and a couple other qualities about you that I'm sure. I got a lot of questions for you though, but I'm sure LT, if you got anything to say.
Welcome, man. Like I'm appalled. I've never heard anybody that is a top salesman at a dealership that just leaves. That's kind of. I'm curious to see how it goes, man. Like, but I like it. I mean, hey, man, welcome. Hopefully, we could pick some. Well, let me stop saying hopefully, like Johnny said, right?
There we go.
We gonna pick up some gems from each other and keep each other motivated. And yeah, man, this is dope. I mean, being a top salesman at anything is an accomplishment. So, I mean. You swap out the cars for baby sheets, it don't matter at the end of the day. But it does take a different type of animal to do it. But getting into this, like just straight up cold and just like jumping in it, and that's admirable and that's impressive. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So I do want to ask: have you done any wholesale deals at all?
Not one.
Have you done any real estate transactions? Period. Like
yeah. When I had my license, I had about 2 before I went full time into selling cars. So I'm familiar with it.
Gotcha. So,
wait, time out. Because something slipped past me. You said you got your real estate license, but then you found out you didn't know how to sell?
Right.
That doesn't surprise me, bro. If you know any of the realtors that I've ever met, as a matter of fact, when he said I became a realtor and then as an entry, or somebody told you it was an entry into rental properties, that shocked me, because I was just like, bro, most realtors I know, or real estate brokers or affiliate brokers, they are like dumb when it comes to real estate. Like they have no clue. Like they're just clueless people, and they think of it as like a job, really.
Exactly. That was my biggest thing. I don't mean to cut you off, but I've been to 2 different brokerages, and I've been very business mindset. So I'm big on systems and scaling. So one thing I noticed was with both the brokers I had, I've been on teams. None of the teams I were with, they didn't have any systems. They didn't have anything really going for them. So I would just kind of be an agent thrown in the water. So I'm like, what am I doing out here? So
you can do that yourself.
What's that?
If they didn't bring you the value of having a system and some sort of structure, you just basically figuring it out as you go, you can go work for yourself. I know exactly what you was thinking.
Exactly. So yeah. I was like, let me go sell cars because I needed to because I had gone full time in real estate and obviously I had blown through all my money. So I'm like, you know what? I had a girlfriend at the time too. She's not in the picture anymore because I got to focus up. But she was trying to take trips. She was trying to do all this. So I ended up getting another job. And I was like, you know what? Let me stay in sales. Let me get a car, work at a car dealership. And there I really learned the importance of building rapport, cold calling, CRMs. Like I built a whole, you know what I mean? I really figured out how to sell. And then after that, I was like, yo, like I'm putting in 12 hours a day, 6 days a week for this guy who has no clue I exist. I could do this for myself. Like, and it's compounding. There's no ceiling here. Like,
bro. Okay. And this is what I've been trying to share with this whole group. I went through all of that. I just want you to get right to your first deal. I want you to get right to making money, especially you got your back, you put your back to the wall. I want you to get right to the deal. I'll cut out all the fluff, dog. We could talk about, you get in here, we could talk about, oh, you could do this, you could do that, and you could do that too. You want wholesale, right?
Hell yeah.
Get you right to the deal. Like you already understand the value of systems, structure, all of that. I can show you I think what you understand, I can show you my system and it can equate from what you were learning there. I think it can really equate and it would make a lot of sense. So, as far as like, there's a million ways to get a deal, but as far as a surefire guaranteed way to get a deal, I can give you that. It's basically lead generation, which I'm sure you probably noticed because it equates. It's lead generation, lead follow-up, acquisition. And then after acquisition, it's dispo. How I'm going to get this deal off, who I'm going to assign it to. I go after the buyers first because on your first time through, there's going to be a lot of questions and a lot of stuff that may pop up. And so I always say go after the buyers first because when you rock with a buyer that's willing to work with you and you already built a rapport with them, then any question or any issue could come up. What if you got a deal and it's a surefire deal, but they got a tenant that don't want to leave the property?
Right.
How are you going to package that up and just blast out to Facebook? It's not going to sound as tasteful to a stranger. But if you can communicate with your buyer that you already have a rapport with, you can say, hey, what about this, this, and this? And they'll tell you, I'd be cool. They can stay in there for another 2 months, or if you got a seller that wants to stay in a property after you close on it, can we put that together? How do you package that if you're doing it the regular way? I do it to find the buyer way, right? So it's lead gen, lead follow-up, acquisition, dispo. I have a CRM and everything, dispo, and then transactional coordination. Going after you've got the buyer and the seller under contract already, then moving to the closing table is its own thing. And obviously you have enough experience that you probably kind of got a feel or idea for it. And even if you didn't, we talk about all the time, you would figure this out. But again, want to get you right to your first deal. Let's fast. Why not? That's all I want to do is take the game that I know, the stuff that I hit my head on the past 2, going on 3 years now, and just be like, why go through it? Why watch y'all do everything that I did wrong for 2 years, 3 years? Right. And I could just be like, boom, here's exactly how I know. There are things that I know that are true and I know that work. And then there are things that I know that are just my opinion. There are things that are just like, I like to do it this way. Once I got a flow of it, because once you get to a certain level, you realize as an entrepreneur, it's your responsibility to figure out what works with you, with your company and things like that. Right. Maybe I don't use this dialer, I use that dialer for a different reason. Maybe I text over here on this platform, or maybe we tweaked our initial text messages when we send them out. How, you know what I mean? Or again, like I said, the first part is the lead generation. How do we, or I call it prospecting. How are we getting to more people? I do cold calling and text messages. We're cold calling, we're texting 6,000 people every day. You know what I mean? And so, but what if you want to do cold calling and bandit signs? Or what if you want to do, whatever? Like right. That, all of that stuff is on you. But I'm trying to tell you the stuff that I know that for a fact works is that structure. And right. So we'll have to get together, bro. And I'm gonna say that I gotta run, y'all, because I gotta get to the store before it closes and try to grab a couple things. I gotta. Good night. Yeah. I gotta get to the store before it closes.
I got a good night.
But, bro, hit me up. At LT, we got to link up to kind of talk about some things as well. Hit me up, like just hit me in the group chat or whatever. And I can give you my number or whatever. I'll just show you my system. Cause like I said, because what you already know, I think once you see it, a lot of it, you'll be like, okay, this makes sense. That makes sense. So,
hey, Cordell, before you go, me and him were talking on the phone yesterday, and you know, he was telling me kind of like his nest egg that he was sitting on. And I was like, look, man, if you really want to dive into it, just go ahead and get $1. You know, like there's no need to just sit here and hand dial if you don't have to. Get $1 and speed the process up. So LT, like you went from that switch. What, like, can you attest to that as well?
Like that no more, bro.
What'd you say?
They ain't gotta live like that no more, bro.
Yeah, man. That's another one of those things that's like, let's skip the line. Let's skip all YouTube channel, because for whatever reason they don't talk about it on YouTube. They don't say nothing about a dialer. I even paid for a mentor, bro. I paid $2,000 for a mentor after I closed my first deal in 2019. Went through her whole course. She didn't say nothing about a dialer. She said write a vision board, gratitude journal, etc. No dialer. And she, you know, taught me a lot of things to help. But once I found out it's a numbers game, and
right.
Like, you know, that's important. We talk about quality, but quantity is important too. And as a matter of fact, quantity helps you reach your quality, helps you define and sharpen your quality. So yeah, I'm gonna show you everything, but get a dialer. Talk, bro. Y'all tell them, get it. Are you hand dialing?
I'm hand dialing, bro.
If you got you a war chest, if you got you a little bread tuck and you can afford it, a dialer max is $200 a month. So that means $200. So a pair of Jordans, or probably the cost of that jacket, or maybe that jacket probably a little bit more. That's a nice jacket you got on. But $200, that's to get you a whole month of just, you gotta, so it's paying for that dialer, buying the leads. You buy the leads. That's a cost too. That's gonna cost you some money, bro. If you want to just spend
that's the number one cost right there, them leads.
Very important. Just buy you some leads, pick a market and all of that stuff. But again, we can talk, we'll talk about how to pick a market and stuff like that. But buying the leads buying your prospects, that's how you start prospecting. You got to go buy it. That's another thing, is like, now that you're working for yourself, nobody's supplying you the leads. Nobody's saying, hey, call this list. You go get your own list. But that's better anyway. That's just what, you know, they say it costs to be the boss. You're the boss now.
Right.
And so go get your own list, upload it, and start dialing. Getting that dialer, bro, you'll get it with what you know. Getting that dialer, if you've done door knocking, dog, get off in that dialer, bro. You'll probably find a deal by the end.
Bro, he gonna pay for 1 month and close 2 deals in that first month.
Nah, dog, I'm dead. Like, without any jokes, it's very, very possible, especially if you do it the way that I'm saying do it. We're gonna reach out to some buyers first, or interact with some buyers, or start building your buyers list now. Start getting because this is what you do. Before you pull a list, you don't pull a list blindly. You just blowing your money.
Right.
You reach out to the buyers and say, hey, what are you buying? You get you about 3 or 4 buyers that you know for a fact they're buying. And if you find me a deal that fits this criteria, 3-2, this part of town and this area and that neighborhood with this much work and this much equity in it from percentage to ARV, I'll buy it. You know how powerful that is, knowing it up front? Because now you literally go into PropStream or wherever you find your deals and just type in exactly what he said. This area, 3-2, this much square footage, that much equity. You can literally put all that in on PropStream. So exactly what the buyers told you. So now you're not just trying to figure out what's the deal and trying to base it off some sort of random formula. You know that anything that you find, because you had 3 buyers just tell you that this area and this criteria fits. So you know that anything that you find, if it's a hit, you send it over to them. They're like, yeah, I'll buy this. And you already know that they'll buy it. Right. So I'm gonna get you to a deal faster. You can skip the line, especially if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Just need the systems. Yo, let me say this real quick before you go, man. I really appreciate that. the fact that you're so open to give advice to people. I know me and Johnny are new, so like the fact that you're able to do this, man, I promise you that's a blessing. It's gonna come back 20 a million times back on you. I promise you that, man. Like people, you're a rare breed for that. I'm telling you. A lot of people they don't have the personality to be able to teach. And when you're able to do that, God will bless you. I promise you, man.
I've been telling him, man. I've been telling him. Me and him sat down and I was looking at him, started calling him like, where's your social media presence at? You need to be in front of people, bro.
Oh,
your ass need to be on the stage.
It took me a while to get here though. You know what I'm saying? To actually get this information. And so now, you know, I'm at a place I feel like God's revealing it to me that that's what you need to be doing. But I was like, I would not want to be one of them fake, I ain't got no deals, but I'm trying to tell everybody how to do this and that. I didn't want to be that. I couldn't look myself in the eye like that. But now I'm at a place and I believe that it's like, bro, it's not going to matter at the end of the day. I'm just giving the game out. And as long as you take the game and multiply it, pay it forward and keep it going. Like that's going to be a lot. That's going to mean a lot to me. You know what I mean? Seeing y'all be able to eat off what I bumped my head on for years. And people help me too. Like I'd be lying if I said I'm self-made. I'm just that guy. Like people help me. People revealed a lot. And so I just want to do it even better. Like if I can give you everything that I got and you can take it and run with it, bro, that's a blessing in it. Like, bro, you going in. So I appreciate it. And I feel like I know everybody on the call now is going it's taking it and run with it. So it's like, I'll talk all day long. It's cool. But I don't want to talk to nobody who just oh, they ain't gonna do nothing with it. I'm wasting my breath. Or they gonna be like, well, actually, I think, and I'm like, okay. Okay, man. You know what I mean? Listen, I'm just trying to give you the game, but I know that y'all and I'm getting value from y'all because I am going to pick your brain about what you know. You got experience to be number one salesperson and just as far as system and things like that. And I pick Johnny brain, LT brain. I done got a lot of game from them as well. So it's like, let's make some money, y'all. Let's make some money.
Glad I met y'all, man. I'm trying to find some hustlers. I'm tired of hanging around these lazy bum ass bull. You know what I mean? Like
we were just talking about that earlier.
We just talk about that. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here, bro. Hit me up for real. Just hit me up on the chat. I'll put my information. LT.
Hey, thank you for my time. Thank you for the time, bro.
Appreciate you, Johnny.
All right, bro.
Man, see, LT done left. Look, I'm gonna run to the bathroom real quick because I gotta pee. I've been holding this for some hours, but I got a few questions for you.
Yeah.
All right, bro.
All right, go ahead.
Oh, damn, bro. Yo.